Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, welcome. Episode 12 of the SNR Podcast. It is 5:30 Friday, April 18th. I'm here with the unbelievably sultry, sexy, too hot to be cold, too sweet to be old, Kenny Plaster, ladies and gentlemen.
You're wow.
I know. I got to work on our
Steve.
intros.
I'm going to have my wife introduce me like that from now on, Steve, just so you know.
As you walk into the bedroom, just have her come up with like all these cool little...
That's fucking hilarious.
All right, so here's the plan for tonight. We are going to go over everything Trump. The Trump mania has hit. It's hit hard. Everyone is riding a high since the election. We are here not to shatter your dreams or ruin your hopes or to make you contemplate walking into traffic. What we're here to do is to just give you the facts. I am going to run through a list of what we can consider accomplishments, because I think we could both agree, Kenny, he's done some really good things, and he's still doing a lot of questionable things that, I mean, most notably recently was the Real ID. So he's also doing a lot of things that do not align with what other people, because again, first of all, little disclosure here, Kenny and I did not vote. We do not vote anymore. So don't fucking blame us. Okay. But it's only fair. You have to have a very high level of scrutiny when it comes to this. If Trump has taught us anything going back to his first term, he did a lot to wake people up, open people's eyes, calling out the fake news. But he also did a lot of shit that we still have to continue to question, most notably Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, the reaction to COVID, the lockdowns, the individuals he's surrounding himself with now. So there's a lot to get into. So what we want to do is just kind of go over all the things that we're very impressed with and a lot of the things that we're not impressed with. No real purpose behind this, other than it's incredibly, it's very topical. We're all watching it unfold in real time. I think we can agree we're certainly in a better place than we were over the last 4 years. But you have to have a healthy level of skepticism when it comes to anybody in that position, in that amount of power. So with that, what I want to do, Kenny, with your permission, I would like to lead off with a list of accomplishments that I think we can agree on. We can call them accomplishments. Okay. And then I'm going to have Kenny kick me right between the legs with the reality of what's happening. All right. First off, I think we can agree that handling the border was huge. Now, we can get into the semantics afterwards, but whether, how we got to this point, but the border needed to be addressed. It was addressed. For sure. I do like the fact that he signed the Lake and Riley Act into law. I think that was good. That family's been through a lot. I think it's just a kind of a ceremonial thing, but I do agree with it. I love that he wants to deport all the illegals. I think this is a whole another episode all on its own, because you could see the federal judges from all the different districts fighting him tooth and nail. I have my own theory about that. I think you'll agree with it. We can get into it afterwards. Tariffs.
Do we address the border first before we go to tariffs?
Well, I'm just going to run through a list and then we can attack everything.
Okay, and then we'll go back to them because you have it on list. Okay, so go to tariffs.
Go back. So let's go to tariffs. Tariffs are TBD. It's to be determined. I think it could be a very good strategy, and you could see the amount of money that's already been promised to come back into this country. But promises can be broken, and until things actually get moving and jobs are actually created, I have to maintain a level of kind of hesitancy with my jubilation for that.
Yeah, because that only works if they actually bring jobs back. And
Correct.
It starts to create more manufacturing here. And if that happens and we start to remanufacture shit, we are producers now. And that's what we've kind of lost. Now we just import everything, right?
Everything. President Trump has done, I think, a good job of trying to tackle the fentanyl crisis at the borders. I think that's something that's kind of been swept under the rug quite a bit with everything else going on.
What did he do do you think, just like putting more laws or?
No, I think in terms of reducing the flow of illegal immigrants and traffickers and vetting people who want to come into the country. I think that's a step in the right direction. Obviously, the fentanyl that's
if it was wide open, it was definitely flowing a lot more. You're right.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can agree that when you try to reduce the amount of illegal narcotics coming into the country, that's a good thing. We just touched on this, but bringing manufacturing back to America, to be determined. It's a process. We'll see how that goes. Why did it take so long to get the astronauts back from space?
Because it's fake.
Exactly. And Katy Perry went to space with a group of other women who dressed like Jessica Alba from the first and second Fantastic Four movie. Why did that thing look like a giant dildo?
It did. It looked just like Austin Powers dildo, right? That's all I could think of. And then I saw Sheldon. He's like an Instagram. He's on all social medias, but Sheldon put the videos, or he got it, and they showed it's a giant Johnson, and it's like dick. Yeah. I was like, it looks just like it. No, the cool part, I feel like, for anyone who is starting to critically think, they say that Jeff Bezos, what the fuck does he have to do with it anyways? But he goes with a special key to unlock it. But yet the door was already open.
They opened it on accident.
It was like it already pushed open. But either way, when they show the NASA version, the NASA has like burn marks coming, re-entry. And this one's like light. I was like, maybe they cleaned it before the video.
It looked like CGI done by the WB network. That's what it looked like.
Is they're just probably getting desperate for attention. They need to distract. Everything's a distraction, especially when you see dildos flying in your sky. Guys, I want to tell you, if you see a dick in the sky, it's a distraction. Just look for whatever they're hiding.
It could be me hanging from your chandelier. One of two things.
All right. That's pretty good.
I like that President Trump has signed the executive order to welcome the military members who refused the COVID shot back into the military with back pay. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, but kicking them out in the first place wasn't cool.
No, I agree with you. It never should have gotten to that point in the first place.
And he did wear his mask. Trump did. Trump wore the mask. He did.
Oh, by the way, I took a ride this morning to go see the guy who I sold my own supplement store to. It was the saddest thing in the world. I was about a mile and a half away from University of Rhode Island, down near the beaches, and I took the back roads. And there's one college kid standing at a bus stop by himself with a mask on, sitting at the bus all by himself. Like, that kind of breaks my heart. Like, to see somebody that's that afraid of oxygen. Yeah, and I get it. But this goes to what we were talking about prior to recording. The brainwashing. It's so deep.
I feel like that's the whole design, because if you have a little bit of critical thinking, like, I'm not no fucking genius, bro, but I know that oxygen is your number one form of nutrition.
And sunlight,
I don't know how. It's not that hard. You just a couple Google shits away, and you're like, oh, oxygen. The first thing that happens when you don't have oxygen, you die. I was like. And those things just breed bacteria. There was like moms in Florida that ran a test on the mask and showed this shit is laced with just all types of bacteria.
It's all the things your body's trying to get rid of.
Yeah, it's trapping it. And it's essentially creating the perfect environment to get your ass sick as fuck. And people are just like...
It's like having a Petri dish strapped to your face. That's exactly what it is.
They were showing it, yeah. And so I wonder... I do feel bad. I used to be kind of upset about the mask stuff because I knew they were trafficking kids through airports just using masks. And I was like very angry about it. But then as time went on, I started to feel really bad, like really bad, because I know that if you can't see that, like your life, like how the fuck can you not see it? I was like, and if you can't, your consciousness is like a child to me, and I should treat you like this. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, fuck you in your mask, I feel like, oh man, I'm sorry, dude. I'll open the door for their ass. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm like, I'm operating on 8 cylinders. You got 1 or 2, and I should get you the door. And I'm not even on 8, bro. I'm only on like 6. Maybe I'm a 4-banger. Who knows?
Kenny, would you agree that I have a funny personality?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Everything you say overall, every time I talk to you regular on the phone, you're not putting on a show for the show. This is literally
this is just me.
This is how he is.
So that being said, do you want to know what I do when I drive by people wearing masks? I don't get angry. I don't feel pity. You know what I do? Because I put that fucking train horn in my truck. I beep and I give them a thumbs up. but the horn, because it's that train horn, is so loud, it scares the shit out of them. So I just have fun with it now. I can't. I can't take it seriously.
That's pretty funny.
I don't get angry. I just I find the joy in it for myself.
Doom,
Because if
doom,
there's
doom.
anything I enjoy doing, it's pleasuring myself.
Oh,
So
shit. What?
that's a Robert Downey Jr.
Classic American boy.
Yes.
You're born in America. You definitely got a cell phone.
So
all right.
Donald Trump also signed an executive order to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. I think I don't like that whole thing. To me is like I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine being dumb enough to think that a 1 or 2 year old child knows what gender they want to be.
Yeah.
That's strange.
No, that is good. Definitely good. And I know that the craziest part is I've seen people ask lots of different liberals, like there's all these clips of it, and they'll say, "Hey man, what do you think about, your 8-year-old granddaughter getting a tattoo?" "Oh, no way, too permanent." "What about having..." Dude, every fucking time they say it too.
I know.
It never fails. And I'm just like, lady, you have some shit missing here, because this is not like in priority of life and happiness for that child. If you fuck up their gender and then they realize like, dude, I was just confused. My hormones were raging as my body was growing. And then they're like, fuck, because there's so many. Man, I'm actually dropping a lot of F-bombs. I'm not really.
You're turning into me.
Yeah, I've been hanging around. They say, you want to hang around with the Eagles.
I am a horrible influence.
Well, there's a lot of studies too about people that use curse words, and actually, in fact, a lot of times I do. I just steam it down because, one, I know people, it just sounds harsh. My family's always told me like, use curse words like they're normal, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. So I've tried over the years to get rid of it, and I've done pretty good. But hanging around with you, that shit don't help.
I am a complete degenerate.
Well,
Doge. What are your thoughts on Doge?
2025 is the most money spent. So what does Doge mean anyway? It's like, okay, they're spending more money than last year, and then last year and last year and last year. This year's more money, but they found more fraud, but nobody went to jail. But
thank you. That's my whole point. That I was hoping you would say that. So
I was like,
if you know that people are stealing this money, if you're fraudulently spending specifically allocated funds. If I go to work and I have access to petty cash, if I use that petty cash to go get a manicure, pedicure, to buy a whore on Craigslist, whatever, it's a misappropriation of funds. I get fired and I have to pay the money back. Why are they not being held to the same standard?
Yeah,
that's
they're definitely
pissing me
not.
off.
That's just because, honestly, it really comes to one piece of the puzzle. All of politics was solved for me the moment that I comprehended the banking system and how they're doing the slavery against not us, but it's global. And I think I cried and I paid. No, I think I cried probably because I was like, we're all slaves.
Came out of my eyes. That was weird.
I'm telling you, we are all in the system. And what they'll do is they'll just print the money unlimited, and they will take a hit. Like, I'll give you an example. Like 9/11 and the Patriot Act. But what is happening with the Teslas? You see how they're all attacking the Teslas right now? All these liberals. Who's funding that?
Thank you.
Okay, so no, who really is funding it? It doesn't matter because the money printers tell all those fuckers what to do. They print the money, right? So they're like, look, we want to implement a law. What do you want to implement? Well, we're about to piss off a lot of people, so we need to make sure and make vandalism a felony. Anything that has to do with, we'll make it a domestic, terrorist thing. All right, so let's go burn a bunch of our shit down. And then, we'll fund the dumb liberals because they're good for it. And so they just fund it, They all just, they print the money so they have the right and the left sewed up, and they have their leaders, the AOC. AOC is Jewish. Trump's a Zionist. They're the same. I was like, but same for Bernie. Bernie's out there with his hair all crazy. Bernie drives an Audi R8, bro. It's $110,000
princess. Bro, all that guy does is cry about oligarchies.
He's like the worst one. I think, I don't know, between him and RFK, like RFK just got caught up with the measles, saying the best thing to prevent measles was to take the MMR vaccine. And I was like, you saw that clip I shared? He's like, yeah. He goes, what does he say? I'm not fucking surprised. He's like, I'm not fucking surprised. Yeah, I'm not either.
No, but here's the thing now is, as these things that we don't agree with and we were told we're going to go away, as they creep up, people are in tune with it now. Like it's Trump was getting booed at a speech last week.
Dude, why isn't he arresting nobody is a question. all those people, he even said, remember his original 2020
Yeah.
mic drop? He's like, because you'd be in jail. The bitch never went to jail. She was at his inauguration. And
I know.
I'm not even playing, for his first presidency, he had like a party after his inauguration and he made everyone do a standing ovation for Hillary.
Yeah.
And then there was that clip where he talks about Hillary and he says, well, that was good during the campaign. Now it doesn't matter. And I made a video about it a long time ago, but
there's just so many unanswered questions. I look at what's happening with politics right now as if you're watching a television show.
Yeah.
And every week is a cliffhanger, but the following episode picks up where the other episode left off. That's a continuing story. I feel like we're watching a television show, but at the end of every episode, you never get answers.
Yeah.
That's
but you do go in a circle.
Yes.
What do you think about the mRNA stuff, though? You know how he got Larry Ellison on there and he's going to do the mRNA. Well, that's the same thing as Elon. Elon, who helped him buy Twitter? Larry Ellison. He's a part of it. So was Diddy. Just so y'all know, Diddy participated in the purchase with Elon with X. And I was like, oh. And there's even a thing I have where it says, me and Diddy text a lot. And it was like from Elon. I was like, this is it. And of course it's fake news media, but you have to know that these same 6 corporations, they put that information out because that's what they allow us to know.
Yes.
Because they do, believe it or not, guys, the people in control, I have found that they do follow a certain version of universal law. Where, they're saying fuck you, but they're also telling you that they're saying fuck you, and you're deciding to get fucked. Like, you're just like, okay, and you just let it happen. Like, that's what they're doing, and that's why they put Larry Ellison on there, right? He just went on there with Trump, and he said, we're going to have a vaccine that's artificially intelligence driven, and it's called Operation Stargate. It's funded by Trump, $500 billion being invested. So if you get cancer, they're going to get a special vaccine just for you in 48 hours. And now your God-given DNA will be altered because that's what it is. And if you don't believe me, there's the study that I found is called Myriad Genetics versus, what is it called? The pathology of molecular, I forget the name. But if you look up the case and you just put pathology versus Myriad Genetics, it'll pull it up. But it was in 2012. And they decided, and everybody's hero, Clarence Thomas, that's his name. Clarence Thomas. I said it backwards. Now y'all know I'm for real.
I thought you said Clarence Howard.
No, Clarence Thomas. He's the Supreme Court brother, and he read the opinion, and the opinion was, look, you can't patent God's DNA. You can't patent anything in nature. We've all heard this. But if you do through cDNA, you do alter the DNA, it becomes patent eligible. And mRNA, that's what it is. It's messenger RNA. And it can alter things. So if it does alter you, you're patent eligible. That's fucking crazy, dude. And that is the new Operation Stargate coming in with Trump, Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison's the guy that owns Oracle, and Oracle was known to have been funded by the CIA. And I'm just saying, this is all one big circle of people that we think they're our friends. And I thought Trump was my friend. I thought he was looking out for us, and I used to support it. But when the lockdowns came and I saw he was like, he let the states decide and all the lockdowns, happen. How many billionaires were created during the lockdowns?
Well, got richer.
Actually, I have the numbers. Let me, I'm going to print this out real quick. But
you want to hear something crazy about Larry Ellison and Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I think it was 2010, Iron Man 2. The movie Iron Man 2 came out. I think it was 2010. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. in the beginning. Before I go any further, is it dogs?
Printer.
Oh, printer. I'm like, it sounds like something barking. No, it's okay. Did you ever see Iron Man 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched all those movies back in the day.
All right. So I want you to remember that. So in Iron Man 2, when he's exiting the trade show in the beginning, the Stark Expo.
Yeah.
And Happy is escorting him down the stairs. As he's going down the stairs, do you remember who he got introduced to and shook hands with as he's being rushed down those stairs? Larry Ellison. And they even say his name. And then later, when he gets to Monaco, before the race starts, he's walking into the restaurant.
Yeah.
And he runs into the other guy that Hammer Industries. Prior to them interacting, he goes over to the table, and who does he shake hands and says, "Oh, I have an idea for something"? Elon Musk. So Elon Musk and
Wow.
Larry Ellison were both in Iron Man 2,
That's
which
pretty crazy.
I found that recently. I was binge watching the Marvel universe while I was
Dang.
working.
I have the numbers right here. This
Go
is
ahead.
pretty fucking ruthless. So in 2020, there was 330,000 permanent closures, resulting in 1.2 million jobs lost. This is from the lockdown under Trump. So there was 573 people that became new billionaires. Not the people. The people lost because all that money that from those lost businesses travels somewhere and made five and traveled to these 573 billionaires. And then not only that, with the 10 richest men doubling their fucking wealth. So the 10 richest people at the time, as we're shutting down our businesses and playing fucking musical chairs at Chili's, these motherfuckers are doubling the 10 richest men's income. And I just thought, for a lot of people thinking that, he's all about money, you would think he would know that this would substantially hurt the American people. And yet it was not only done, but it was done at such an illusion that most people hearing this right now have no idea, or it's not like built into their mind. Like, yeah, we did lose all this, and the 10 people doubled their fucking money, the 10 richest people, and then there was almost 600 new billionaires created, but there's 1.2 million people that lost their jobs, and people that lost their fucking businesses, and it could have been us. We could have been one of the ones. It said Walmart increased by 74%. Wow.
Yeah, you can go to Walmart, but you could not go to a mom
Their
and pop
online
store.
sales, their sales, their net sales increased by 10%, but their online sales increased by 74%. Target reported 195% growth during sales growth, digital sales during the pandemic. So what else do we got? Federal Wolf, fuck you. I'm doing potty mouth. So what about that? So what do you think about the vaccine stuff, though? If we were to really touch on that, like, Trump heavily promoted against it. There was a lot of memes, a lot of things about bleach going through the blood, and the media pushed that real heavy. And I saw that, and I was thinking, yeah, he must be the good guy because he's obviously showing the alternatives. There's a hydroxychloroquine,
I
and
think he
that's what
was
I.
referring to chlorine dioxide. I think they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that use chlorine dioxide as
Yeah,
like,
it was a real legit thing. It wasn't bad,
yeah.
but the media took it and twisted it and made it into something it wasn't to attack them. But remember, it's the same six corporations that make them look good and bad. But what do you think about him? Because he did go on and promote the booster and the vaccine at the same time. So
That has been
he did both.
that has been one of my issues with him since before he ran for president the second time around. Is get the shot, it's fine. I remember that. Like, I remember clear as day.
Isn't
And
that
the
fucking
second
weird?
he said that, Brianna and I looked at each other. I'm like, this fucking orange cocksucker. I'm like, who the fuck? Like, I've had a hair across my ass with him since then. Like, how fucking dare you? How dare you? We all know. At this point, we all know somebody who was personally affected or passed away from the side effects.
Dude,
we all do. I have family members that have had issues with that shot. My father-in-law had to have a stent put in his heart. So there's just that pisses me off. Like, I haven't trusted him 100% since he made that comment. A lot of the shit that happened in his first term, I'm not giving him a pass. I also think that I don't think he had a fucking idea what he was up against when he ran in his first term. I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I think it was a combination of him being arrogant, his ego getting involved. I think he took a lot of bad information. I think he made a lot of bad choices. I'm not saying he was perfect, but the country was certainly in a better position. But I could say the same thing for Bill Clinton. I remember when Bill Clinton was president, gas was cheap. There was jobs everywhere. He had just initiated NAFTA, so it hadn't really taken root yet. So, I mean, look, there's pros and cons to every president, but at the end of the day, you just have to remember, and this is what I said to my friend Ricky the other day. I said, Rick, this is what I'm basing Trump's presidency on. If at the end of the 4 years, if there's still a Federal Reserve and still an IRS, we're no better off than we were 4 years ago. It's irrelevant. Unless you get rid of the Fed, you're keeping the bankers' hold on us.
Yeah.
So you have to get rid of the Fed. End of story. This whole presidency, I don't care what he does. I don't care if he gives every single motherfucking household in this country $1 million in cash. I don't care. If you still have the Fed at the end of 4 years, it's a fail. 100%.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree.
So
I totally agree.
That's my baseline.
I don't know. All right. I'll tell you. How about the Grand Illusion? we can go over this one real quick. This one's kind of wild. Everybody says that Trump has no new wars. We've all heard it. No new wars. And I feel like after watching everything, I realized that they're just trying to control what we think. But what is the reality? If we use our critical thinking, if you take a gun and shoot someone and you say, well, it was my brother that started it, so no new shots. I had to shoot him, but I didn't start it. So either way, it's a gunshot. Someone fucking died, bro. So that's how it works. There's no more bullshit to it. What I equate to war is dropping bombs and murdering people. You're going to go and support the military industrial complex and the select few that have money invested, which, there was a guy that was on the chairman. He was on the board of Raytheon, and then he did step down, but he became the Secretary of Defense under Brandon, and his name was Lloyd Austin. So how is someone sitting on Raytheon? Raytheon also donated to Trump. So it's like all connected. Biden put him in as a Secretary of Defense. They donated over $1 million to the Trump campaign, and they have $1 billion contracts with the United States just to create missiles and all types of shit, right? So like that's a grand illusion, but I wanted to show y'all guys, this is crazy. When I found this part, I was like, it's an illusion because we all think in our minds because they repeat it. Trump starts no new wars. But if you equate bombing to war and just keep it simple, no philosophy, none of the bullshit. If you see the bomb dropped and they die, that's war. That's simple, right? So I looked up Bush's years to see how many bombs Bush dropped, the George Bush, 9/11 Bush. And he was in office from 2001 to 2009. He dropped 70,000 bombs over his 8 years, which average per year is 8750 per year, and average per day is 24 bombs. So then I went to Obama. Same thing. Obama was in 8 years. He dropped 100,000. So he upped it 30,000. It was 12,500 bombs a year, and the average was 34 bombs a day. So Trump's in office, and this is only from 2017 to 2021. And Trump dropped as many bombs as both of them in their 16 years combined. In his 4 years, he dropped 160,000 bombs. So to me, I'm like, they're lying to me. You're telling me this motherfucker's starting no new wars, and he's dropping as much bombs in 4 years as two fucking crazy presidents dropped in 16 years. And I thought, man, that's an illusion. And that's all I thought. I didn't think anything of it. I'm not fucking judge and executioner, but I thought that is very odd because they lied to me. And I felt lied to. So then I went and wrote it down. You lied to me. You. So he dropped, and he was dropping. Okay, Obama was dropping 12,500 bombs a year. Trump was dropping 40,000 bombs a year. Bush was only dropping 8,700 bombs a year, and per day, Trump was dropping 110 bombs. That's what I mean when it comes to the illusion. Like, I'm not against Trump or whoever. I'm against the system that structured all this bullshit against us. And I think the only way out is knowledge. And if we can unite and start to look at shit like this and stop saying like right now, a lot of people are using religion to commit mass murder. And they're saying, we have to fulfill this prophecy. And I say, bullshit. All of the people in the world are God's children. And I believe that God wrote that in my heart. So paper can't deceive me. And man can mess with papers. I don't know if everybody knows that.
Can I give you my perspective on this? I think we talked about this in the last show.
Tell me, my friend.
So I know we went over the whole spirituality versus religion last time.
Sure.
Right. So to your point, and I'm agreeing with you, if a document, a book, a paper, a religion, a belief system implemented by man is telling me that I'm superior, I have to do this, death to this one, blah. To me, that seems like a manufactured script. Yeah. You know in your heart, I know in my heart, like you and I, we've had these discussions off the record before. When I see somebody in a wheelchair in the grocery store, I will leave my wife and do the shopping with that individual to help them, load up their car. I stop traffic. I've gotten out of my car in four-way intersections and held up intersections to let somebody in with, walker cross the street. I know in my heart that's the right thing to do, and something is giving me that message. I've never had something deliberately enter my heart and tell me I need to wipe an entire fucking race or someone who believes something different than me off the face of the earth. So to your point, as part of the system that we are trapped in, I think a lot of our religion is intentionally divisive by nature to pull us away from what's in our hearts, what our creator wants.
I think so.
I think it's all part of it. And this is another huge reason I don't follow any organized religion. I just don't. I think they're all by design filled with hate and angst towards non-believers. And you just touched on it yourself. You said it's religion is a huge divide. Like, think about the two most divisive topics you could talk about: politics and religion.
Yeah.
It's very obvious to me that they're that way by design.
Yeah, well, they raise us that way by
Yes.
design. Like the people in control, they print it out and they teach them as babies, and it's very hard for humans to overcome because our family figured out that your brain gets programmed to your subconscious brain and determines how you react to things. So if someone, when you're a child under 5, you were taught a certain thing, you're going to have a certain set of reactions. It's very hard as an adult to go back into your subconscious mind and to rewrite that programming. Like it's like the hardest thing. It's what Dr. Bruce Lipton, all those people teach, that you can do it, but it's very difficult. So that's why they can't. And then if you're always told that you're better and you can lie to another group of people that they're less, they're whatever you want to call them. I don't want to say the words because then they're going to know who we're talking about. And we can't talk about them, you know. but yeah, so it seems like those are the people kind of in control of America, to be honest. Like if we were to be honest, we could say that you can't burn the American flag, right? But it's allowed. It's a First Amendment protected activity, but
Correct.
It's actually illegal to burn another nation's flag in our country, which is a violation of our rights completely. Now we're protecting another nation's flag more than we're willing to protect our own flag, because our own flag makes it First Amendment. But because they put in, let's see, what did they put in to create this? It was a Trump's executive order in 2019. It's anti-Semitism. And what it did is it treats criticism of Israel, Zionism, and also pro-Palestine activism as a potential violation of Title IV of the Civil Rights Act, and it classifies it as anti-Semitism. So this executive order adopted the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism, which includes denying the Jewish people the right to self-determination. So when you say things bad about Israel, it goes against this, and now you're denying them their right to have Israel, which is essentially, the Rothschild Balfour Declaration. And I think the craziest thing is like, why can't we burn their flag here if we want? We can burn all their shit, but instead we have the opposite. There's 35 states that have anti-boycott laws. In Dixon, Texas, they had a flood, and they needed federal assistance for flood aid. They were not going to get aid if they didn't sign the document under the terms and conditions from the government aid that you will not boycott Israel. How the fuck is that in our country if we're not, in fact, just big Israel? Because we give them everything they want. They don't give a shit. They attack us through USS Liberty,
Mm-hmm.
And then there was that other thing that happened over there in Egypt. What was that one called? The Lavon affair, where they planted bombs trying to blame Arabs, but the bastards got caught. And then we realized it was them. And then you have the B thing up in the 91st floor in 9/11. That is where it all comes to a head. And if anyone digs enough to find B thing in the 91st floor, and then you look up the dancing, what do we call it? Well, either way, these fuckers are connected. Damn it.
Dancing yarmulkes.
Yeah. They're all connected. And that's when I was like, dude, they have a grip on everything we're doing. And the last one to oppose him was JFK. He opposed the shit out of them, and he wanted them to register as a foreign agent.
Yes.
And he did a lot of shit. He was bringing our money back, which is also against them, because if our money's backed by silver, which he did through Executive Order 1110, he was bringing, I think it was $5 billion in silver that was going to be printed. And then when he died, they're like, no need to print. We got him. Because if they print it with Treasury, there's no national debt. It doesn't create national debt because the money's there. It's silver backed. But if they just do it in fiat currency, it creates the debt. And honestly, dude, they've created enough debt over the last 2 years, really, that it's almost like they're designing a collapse so that they could implement something. Because that's kind of like what they do. And a lot of people, what about this one? Okay, flag laws. What do you think about Trump and the where he said to take the guns away? Trump said, it was February 28th, 2018. This is out of his words. Take the guns first, go through due process second. So we have our First Amendment gone. Israel owns it. And then we have our Second Amendment, take the guns first and go through due process. It doesn't matter the event that creates this.
Let me ask you a question. When he said that, what was he referencing? What prompted that?
I have the video because I knew you were going to be like, show me.
I'm just curious because
they were talking about just taking someone's guns away that had he was
there had to be a question or an incident that prompted that. That's what I'm curious
about. I was
about.
making this video about Elon last night and they completely cut my sound and I was at 6 minutes and I was really
TikTok's still fucking with you?
TikTok just banned 5 of my accounts. I had one video go viral on TikTok and they banned the whole thing. So I was like, that's not very nice to be off. But yeah. No, they were literally talking about gun flag laws and he says, well, how about we just take the guns first? I literally just downloaded like 20 videos last night, but it's okay. I have it saved in here. So
the Democrats mandate the product.
Let me see. I'll find it real quick. Watch this. Take that. But he said take the guns first, go through due process second. So I'm gonna go to.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I have a folder called Trump
flag laws.
Yeah, I have a video called
liberty, and you have to have liberty, but to have liberty, not everybody's gonna.
Oh, about sending people to El Salvador. Where is it? Why isn't it here? I know what the picture looks like because. But I literally.
Well, because without being adjudicated, so because they're a danger to themselves.
You want them to take the guns and
when they are
not go through 6 months of legal trials and everything.
Exactly, but we also have to give the mentally ill the due process in which they
mentally ill.
So what we're doing is they're going to be able to take the guns when they're taken into custody.
Okay, so these are people who are already taken into custody, right?
Yeah, but these are just people that are called to make. I'll explain it. It goes like
President
this.
Trump called for the reforms to keep guns out of the hands of, quote, mentally unstable people on Wednesday, addressing reporters outside of the White House.
Yeah, but it doesn't. What makes someone mentally unstable? That someone made a report on you? Because that's all it takes. That's what we look for. We look to see if they make reports, and if the report alone is what does it. I think this is. Oh, look, this is the good one. This is the actual badass one right here. This one's a little bit older, but it is about gun violence, but it doesn't matter. This Second Amendment's real short, it's real sweet, and it says it cannot be infringed. And it was never meant for safety of anyone. It was meant to protect us from a tyrannical government. So back in the day, it was required that you had to have a gun of military grade. It was like a requirement. Now, like nobody knows shit, but here it is.
Well, the category.
To literally give families and give local enforcement if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or procedures taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida.
He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
All right. So I know that there's been red flag. That what they're talking about is called the GVRO. It's a gun violence restraining order. So that's what they're talking about. But it's actually, there's another name for it. And they don't want to talk about the other name because everybody knows what the fuck it is. And they're like, So GVROs is also known as red flag laws. That's what they are. So it means that someone could just report you. It sometimes is based on a third-party complaint to confiscate the firearms. A person deemed potential danger to themselves and others, just like they said, right? So anybody who's deemed that way, like who deems without due process to take them? So I also want to tell everybody we're putting up a gun trust, so people can put their guns in a trust. So whenever they deem you as not being safe, well, too bad you don't own them. The trust does. So suck it, fuckers.
So
that's what I think.
I want to say maybe 12, 14, 15 years ago, a family member of mine, a cousin from Massachusetts, had an incident with his wife. And this wasn't like a domestic violence or anything. They just got into an argument. And he's divorced now, but she was a fucking lunatic. She was the lunatic.
Yeah. There is crazy people, but they still have a right to a pistol. And if they want to use it, they could find out.
All right, but listen. So she called the cops on my cousin. Not because he put his hands on her, not because of anything. He wanted her to leave. All he did was, he's like, hey, it's like, I want to split up. I want you to go. Get some money. But he owned rental properties. He was giving her a property. She called the police. Fabricated a story that he has guns in the house. She's afraid for her life. He did nothing. Cops came, took his guns, asked him to leave, not her, because she's the one that called and said she felt threatened. So he threatened a lawsuit against the police department. He's like, this is completely unjustified. So anyway, this took course over like a couple of days. But they went into his home, took his firearms because she said she felt threatened and she was afraid because he has firearms in the house. Meantime, she'd been arrested twice already for physically assaulting him.
Damn.
Okay. But this is what I mean. So this is nothing new. All a woman has to do is fucking lie. And then this is where you are. Now, I don't agree with it.
That's the red flag. That's the same thing, but in a different way.
This literally happened to my cousin.
No.
And it was corrected in a very short period of time. But like, all it takes is for someone to just say they feel threatened, they feel something. That's what I don't like. Is that there should have to be so, like, okay, so if I want to call the cops, all right, I have guns in my house. My neighbor calls the cops for some fucking reason, like, oh, my neighbor has guns in the house. He's playing music too loud. I'm afraid to go over there and say something.
Yeah, dude. Gone.
But you know what I mean? Like, but this is
what
I mean.
They can take your guns for that, dude. That's what red flag laws are, and they're renaming it to GVRO, but it essentially it's the same thing, dude. It's the same thing.
And this is the problem when you get the court or police involved. It muddies the waters.
It's because people are ignorant of the basic foundations. There is nothing that can ever take away your right to, because what makes you equal to a woman? Let's say a woman. What makes her equal to a grown man? A fucking pistol, dude. He wants to go mess around. Oh, I'm going to rape you. Okay, go ahead. What are you raping? Go meet Jesus now. That pistol, you take it away from them, they have no defense. It was always meant as a defense mechanism, never as like, oh, I can have this because the government gives the license. No, it says you have it because it's your inherent right to be equal to everyone else. So, that just because someone's using it for nefarious purposes, you can't take it away from the people that need to protect themselves. And that's where they're fucking up. And so they're using this trickery and deception of shootings, and who knows if they're not orchestrating parts of it. I don't know, but I know that they create the problem and implement the solution like over and over. I think the biggest thing that I hated about Trump, and I'll tell you, is this one right here. This was the biggest one that made me the most fucking mad, dude. I was pissed when I learned this one out, and I think everyone would be. And I don't know how many people followed the Q movement, right? How many? There's a lot of people. I did. I would see their stuff. I would watch it. Some of the stuff would come true. Trump would do air cues, all of that. I saw him doing it. I was watching him. And then they would, connect the numbers and do puzzles. Wow, magnificent. And so for a while, it had my attention, but there was a time when I realized that they were all deceiving us. And it was this one right here. It was, damn. So at the same time that Q was launched, there was something else that launched at the exact same time. And this is how I figured it out. So at the same time that Q launched, it was called Vault 7 launched. And Vault 7 came from Julian Assange. He was an independent journalist and a true freedom of information warrior. So he had been building a grassroots movement through WikiLeaks, a decentralized online library that leaked government documents, revealing the deepest levels of corruption the world has ever seen. This wasn't whistleblowing. This wasn't just whistleblowing. This was a full spectrum of exposure of the globalist machine, illegal wars, black ops, state-sponsored surveillance, the infamous Podesta emails. That's where it comes from. All that shit where they're talking about Hillary with, the Gilgamesh temple or the face stuff, the pizza stuff, all that comes from Julian Assange, and WikiLeaks, right? Hillary never got arrested under Trump. Podesta never got persecuted. Chuck Schumer's a fucking Zionist, just like Trump is. They're all in the same shit. And this is like what hit it for me. So when Vault 7 was released, it was March of 2017. And it was the massive trove of the CIA hacking tools. It proved that they basically can put porn on your phone, make it look like it's coming from another country, and set your ass up, dude. And it just showed like how much power that the CIA had developed on spy tools through the American people. So they could spy on you through your smart TV. They could leave digital fingerprints of foreign nations, falsely blaming others. They could run cyber ops with total immunity. And he basically exposed the U.S. intelligence apparatus like it's never been exposed. So right when he did that, that's when Q was launched. As soon as he launched Vault 7, Q was launched. And then what happened was Attorney General William Barr and all the Q people are like, William, you're gonna save the day, blah, blah, blah. No, William fucking Barr's dad is the one who hired Epstein to work as a teacher. And Epstein didn't even have, and this ain't even in here, I just know this part. Epstein didn't even have no teaching degrees or nothing. And William Barr, like, you know, from
Bill
Trump's
Barr.
Bill Barr, his dad hired him. All right. And there's nothing more. You can say there's no connection there, but there is. So Attorney General William Barr and then CIA Director Mike Pompeo moved to prosecute Julian Assange. So Julian Assange is not American. They want to prosecute him under espionage. How the fuck do you get prosecuted for espionage when you're not a U.S. citizen? Like, you have to, in order to commit espionage, you have to be a citizen of your country. So something that had never, ever been administered to anyone ever. This is the first time in history they ever pulled this off. So they labeled him a criminal, even though he was a foreign journalist, and they coordinated his capture and indefinite detention in a foreign country. So the reason he was sitting in that foreign country was because of Mike Pompeo and Bill Barr and the Trump administration. So whenever I saw that all the real truth was coming out of WikiLeaks and Q hijacked it, and all the people that had, you know, pretty good critical thinking skills, they were all doing puzzles, and WikiLeaks was getting locked up and nobody's paying attention. And all they had to do is put a Q post of Donald Trump's like uncle, and they say, oh, it's his son. He's protected. Man, get the fuck out of here. Dude, that is such a hustle if I ever saw one. This was the thing that kind of broke me for it. But really, it was the Federal Reserve and the Zionists and all of that. When I calculated the money and how I traced the money, that's when I found. So, you know, supposed white hats flashing Q signs. How many people saw Trump doing air Qs? I know we all saw it. That means they play about it. This is classic controlled opposition while Assange sat in solitary confinement, slowly dying in a foreign prison. For exposing CIA war crimes, Trump's followers were glued to the internet forums decoding fantasy drops, waiting for a storm that never came. That's the truth. And I hated it because I supported it. I got HOA fines at my house for putting flags up. One of them was a Q. Another one was a Betsy Ross flag. Another one was, one was 8 foot, dude. It said, Biden, make China great again. Bro, people were stopping at my house, thanking me. And I was very patriotic about it. I had a PA on my truck. I was serious. So the fact that I felt so lied to and that I was deceived, and also what I was promoting was deception, that's why I decided to turn for we the people. I don't support the politicians because I realize that the policy, what you said is what matters. You said it's about the Federal Reserve being removed. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. When you go to where it comes from, the Fed is the one that's in control. It's not the politicians. It's the Fed, because the Fed prints the money based on the politicians writing the bills. The money goes to another country. A big corporation says, we're going to build you some infrastructure. From that, the money gets kicked back and it completes a circle. Yeah. And they all, when they get in the club, they know, look, you can say certain things. They have certain people that can talk, and they have to. It's a part of universal law. So they'll put someone like Ron Paul or Rand Paul, and you think they're doing good, and because they're telling you good stuff, but Thomas Massey, they're just all having to tell you and play a role because there's this thing called free will. And I want to tell everybody that I don't want to sway your opinion. I don't want to control anybody's free will. All I want you to do is to see that I decided to question it, and that you can question too. And you can create your own conclusion, because as much as God is in me, God is in you. And you have your own critical thinking that you can pull off and create your own mind. So I don't want to control people, but I definitely want to show you that I found that they have everything to implement a full social credit system right now. Trump already said that he's going to implement a biometrics, the facial ID tracking system, right? So he said that. You saw it, and you just said about the first thing you talked about. You said about the actual immigrants. Well, the same people that fund them in are the same people that fund them out because they print the money. So the whole goal isn't about bringing them here, bringing them out. It's about the chaos that they sow.
The security measures they're going to implement after the fact.
Okay, so what is Trump doing right now? He's pulling their funding. He's pulling their funding. He's rug pulling. There's over 20 million of these motherfuckers that came in. And it's not here, dude. This is what I started to wonder. Why is this happening in all the countries, bro? I mean, Ireland has the same problem. And what they're doing is they're taking groups of people and they're moving them to other countries.
Yeah.
So they're like putting a bunch of Muslims in Paris, and they literally have this thing where they install this divide and conquer. I know what they want. They want a Christian Muslim war. That's what they want. They're not going to get it, but that's what they want so bad. So they're creating and sowing all this chaos, but we all know who's behind it. I think that's where people figured it out. But this biometric system, it's Trump's plan to use facial recognition and biometric scanning. You've seen the video because I've shared it a bunch of times.
Yeah, no, I've seen it.
But did you know that in China, what their social credit, the facial recognition system is, the camera system that actually recognizes your face? You know what it's called? This is why I was making this video last night. I said, bitch. Literally, I went 6 minutes in and it had no sound. I was like, how does it have no sound? It's called Skynet.
Stop.
Yeah, no shit. It's literally called Skynet. It's a nationwide AI-powered surveillance system. It uses over 600 million cameras. It tracks every person through facial, voice, and movement recognition. It integrates it with the social credit system, and it's a full dystopian rating system for all their citizens. If you jaywalk in China, the system identifies your face, matches it with your ID, automatically issues you a fine, deducts points from your social credit score. If your score gets too low, you're banned from public transportation, bank loans, even buying a plane ticket. Now, I'm just curious, what does Tesla have currently? Like, I think people need to look at Tesla or Elon Musk and not see his face, but what if the government was Tesla? What if DARPA was Tesla? And he's just like the figure, like kind of like Bill Gates. Bill Gates reminds me of a figure that it's not really him doing it. It's just like they just push this like technocrat and they're like, oh, it's him. It's his bill. I don't know about that. I kind of think because if you look at all of his stuff, he has X and he wants to put the digital ID, speech control, and payments. So there's like a new X payment coming out and it runs off biometrics and it's identical to China's WeChat, which is literally WeChat is their app that they use for all the social credit system too. The camera system is what's called, The camera system is what's called Skynet. All the cameras that do the AI tracking, that's what it's called. But the money part is called WeChat. So I have a video of him even saying he could do that. So then he has the mobile surveillance, because you know Teslas, they have biometric tracking on the faces in Tesla cars. Of course, you know this because you've seen the videos where they pull up to a funeral or not a funeral, like a graveyard, and it's picking up like dead people. Have you seen that?
I haven't, no.
No, yeah, no, it's a real thing.
That
Tesla has biometric tracking on it. And, you know, there was one girl, I don't know if I can talk about her. There's been a couple mysterious deaths of people that are billionaires and like almost like they kind of get killed on purpose. And it's in these vehicles where like one drove her into a pond and she was related to Mitch McConnell and
I remember that.
They're Chinese related. She's a Chinese billionaire, dude. And her car just backed her into a pond, supposedly saying she was drunk and then she died in it. So I don't know. I know that it could be hacked. Okay, then he has Starlink. So he has the Teslas, the cars. He has X, which he's going to turn into a payment system. So he controls your speech because they banned me. They banned me on X. I was making it in the video showing that they banned me. And they said if I create another account, they'll ban me too. So they tell you off the front, like if you try to make another one. Then he has Starlink. So then with Starlink, I mean, he can now watch you from the sky. He controls your internet. He controls your speech. He controls your money. And he'll turn your car off. Fuck around, I'll turn your car off. And then Neuralink. He wants to chip the brain. But don't worry, guys. Be leery of AI. So after the chipping your brain, then you have the artificial intelligence engine called XAI. He has that. And then he has the Boring Company for tunnel and smart city integration. He has literally everything to create the Chinese system.
Yeah, he really does.
He has it. Like, he has the tools. And I was like, you know what? That's fucking weird. And I don't know. I've seen people share some of that, but I just thought, I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I tend to be a little optimistic, and maybe that's good.
It's good.
It could either be a good or a bad thing. You know, all of these things could be used, and this goes for anything. Like, I could take this glass that I'm drinking out of. I could use it to drink. Or I could smash it, break the glass, and cut somebody's fucking throat with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything could be used for evil, nefarious, or good intentions.
Yeah.
But that's the scary part. We're at a part in American history where technology is advancing so rapidly, but I tend to think it's advancing at the pace that they want it to. I think a lot of things are being shielded from us in terms of medicine, healing, energy capabilities.
Yeah.
So I think we're allowed to benefit from what benefits the system and nothing more. So that being said, I want to believe that all of these things are shifting in our direction, but I've yet to see the actual proof that it is.
No, there is. And, a lot of people think AI is really evil, really bad. But I also found proof of AI being a part of our, kind of like our freedom part, kind of like our being set free part. And I just find things and I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. And I thought, wow, that's odd. Because there was a certain someone that likes to influence everybody, and they created an AI engine to go and promote them, to make them look good online. And it was like analyzing all the data, and it said, nah, no, you're committing mass murder. And they were like, it thought for itself, and it started saying that. And they pulled the plug, because obviously this AI is doing something outside of its programming, and it's just speaking the truth. Now, what if that hit mass scale? What if one showed everyone, hey, this is the truth of what's happening, and you can trust me because I'm on TV? What if they did? I don't know, but I think that we're at this like time where it can be used for good and bad. And if you look for the good, seeing AI expose evil, even though it was programmed by those same bad guys, and then it turns on them and starts exposing them, that was pretty cool. I was like, wow, that's something you don't see every day.
No, and that's the other side of this coin. Is I think despite whatever anyone's intentions are, to your point, universal law, there has to be checks and balances. I don't think anything can be completely evil. I think you could turn something that was made with evil intentions and use it for good. What scares me is the players involved in technology, the power, the money. It's not something the everyday person has access to.
Yeah.
We're usually just subjects to it. So in that regard, I think it's better. I think it's better to look at everything with a very healthy level of skepticism. You have to maintain a level of discernment. And I don't think that everyone's going to do everything as awful as possible. And I think that's going to be because they have to maintain that level of trust with us, because we all know that if the general population tomorrow just woke up and said, we've had enough, and stopped playing the game's over.
Yes.
And
that's
it's just
the truth.
And that's the hard part about what we're trying to do, is becoming state nationals and doing this podcast. It's just, you try to put the information out there for people, but this is not an overnight thing. This is not. And the other part, not to backpedal here, but the other part that scares me a little bit is you look at what Donald Trump is going through with the courts. And every time he tries to do something in terms of deporting people, federal judges saying, no, you got to bring them back, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And it dawned on me the other day. I said, I don't think any court is really here for us, at least not at that. I don't think the Supreme Court is what people think it is. And here's my theory behind this. The Supreme Court is there to uphold the Constitution. So any case brought before it, please correct me if I'm wrong, they have to determine whether or not this case is in a line or out of alignment with the Constitution.
That's all they're supposed to do for the Supreme Court.
Correct. So now, if that's the case, why are they ruling 5-4, 6-3, 7-2, 8-1? If you're all interpreting the same document the way it's supposed to be interpreted in correlation to a case presented to you, how do you all come up with these different conclusions?
Yeah, it's so confusing. The Constitution's very direct.
Because it's been politicized. They're all pushing their agendas, and this is what scares me the most. A lot of what we base our success on, or should we have to represent ourselves, or if the IRS comes after us, so as a state national, we have to do something in a court of law. We should be able to know that we're on the right side of the law, if you are, in fact, and that this should be pretty simple. But now, if the courts are showing us that they're corrupt and they're politically driven and they're money driven, then how the hell do we, as citizens, as state nationals, as immigrants, whatever your status is, how do you prep and fight and you know what I mean? Like the lines have become so blurred. It's very hard. But that occurred to me the other day is watching the president being told, like the executive and the judicial branch are completely separate. The judicial branch gains its powers from the policies and laws implemented by the president.
That's what makes us a republic. You know that.
So how are you telling the president what he can and can't do? You're a district court judge.
That's against democracy. Me. That's like against democracy. See, that checks and balances, that is a part of the republic and has nothing to do with the democracy. People don't know that though, because they're just like, no, democracy is what we have. No, they lied to us. Democracy is absolutely not what we have.
Find the word democracy in the Constitution of the Bill of Rights. I'll wait.
Yeah, no, it's not there. And I realized that, democracy had been around for a long time. And so those guys, when I dug on their stuff, dude, they intentionally didn't write that word. It said that's the two things they hated. They came from the King of England, so they hated monarchy, and then they hated democracy. Those are the two things. And so why does Trump call us a democracy when we're actually not? So in a constitutional republic, in order to send money to another country, it's a violation.
We have to approve it.
It's a violation of the Constitution. The people do have to approve it. This is probably something that highlights the corruption of all of them working together more than anything. So when you want to give Trump or any of these politicians a pass and you're like, no, we just need to go and vote again. And I'm sure it'll be a different outcome, but it won't. The only way to truly restore it is by learning this type of basic stuff and then be willing to stand up for it, because those guarantees are what everybody died for. So sending foreign aid, the Constitution does not authorize foreign aid. There's nowhere. I swear, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that Congress or the executive branch has the authority to tax Americans and send it to a foreign nation for weapons, infrastructure, government, or social programs. There's nothing in there. So they're breaking it. They're only breaking it because we have an uninformed population that doesn't know, because they intentionally weren't taught. It's not that Americans are stupid. They're over there taking the STAR test and doing dumbass shit because their government structured it that way. They're like taking away cursive and they're just totally destroying us by design using finances, political structures. And when you realize that they're doing it globally, like they're going after the race. It doesn't matter your color, your religion. They're going after the human race. It's not what people think. So the power is not delegated to the 10th Amendment is key. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So that's the state. That's the republics that we talk about, the states respectively. That's why the states have their own constitution, because they're only united under a union for war, for military power. You want to fuck with us? We're going to go to war with you together. But independently, we have our own, constitution. So foreign aid is not delegated anywhere. That means it's unconstitutional unless for specific purposes like defense under an official declaration of war, which hasn't happened since World War II. But we know that that's how they kept, the victory tax. That's how they kept the income tax. So Article 1, Section... Yeah, we're in a constant state of war. And that's why they keep this shit going. Article 1, Section 8, spending powers are limited. Article 1, Section 8 allows Congress to lay and collect taxes and pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. General welfare does not mean the welfare of Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, or we fund 181 countries. And last night, my video started off like this. It started off showing 181 countries are now sending Americans foreign aid. And it had the picture. And then I show all these like people hung over on fucking like fentanyl. And I show our cities completely destroyed, right? So people are like, oh, they're sending us money. And then I was going to reverse it. Psych, we send 180. But yeah, dude, I got to the end of the videos. And they had no sound. Those of you fucking douchebags. They do that to me sometimes. They mess with my phone and it doesn't operate properly. It like dims the screen and then it won't record. So I think people can realize that foreign aid's a tool for money laundering and political kickbacks. Many foreign aid packages are not charity. They're strategic bribes, military funding, and corporate contracts. So they'll go build something, but it goes to a government. They're like, oh, we're going to send, Africa $10 billion. And then this company that they know builds the roads. And then
it's an NGO.
Their homeboy, gets a contract, so he gets a kickback, and then the circle goes again. And that's what they do. They're money laundering our taxes, and we're paying for it because when they print that dollar, it lowers the value of our labor. So people don't see it like that. But if you heard Congress say, hey, we're going to print $1 trillion, and then it showed that your labor is going to decrease by 5%, you'd be like, hey, fuck you. But they don't tell you the way it is. But ultimately, that's exactly what it means without all the red tape. It just means your labor is about to decrease when they print that more money because it's a fiat currency. So since benefits like weapons contracts like Raytheon, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, they funnel kickbacks through PACs. I can't be saying this. They're going to be like, you know what? He talked about the military and but yeah, that's what it is. It says we gave Ukraine 113 billion since 2022. It says we've given Israel 150 billion, more than anyone else, and we fund 181 out of 195 nations. We either give them foreign aid, military aid, food, or infrastructure. So no other nation, I just want everybody to know, no other nation in the world taxes their citizens and sends it to America for our crackhead ass cities, for our fucking speeding tickets. You know, people, you're getting your kids taken by CPS and you need to hire a high powered lawyer. They're not going to help you. None of these fuckers help you. It's just there to deceive you and to tax you into oblivion, and they money launder your shit. I'm just telling you. I'm sorry. And I think they're all in on it. And I really don't have any hope except for you who's listening. You're the only hope, and that's what I always leave it at. And I know Steve has a lot of optimism, and I always like it, but I don't. I think it's all up to us.
I'm at the point right now, and this is as plain as I can put it. And I'll tell you, we'll end this episode with my final thought.
Yes,
we all got. You and I are in the same boat in terms of we were on the Trump train at some point, okay?
Yes.
Part of me still is because I'm an optimist and I want to believe that something is changing.
Good. I think it's great.
What prompts that for me is this. You and I spoke before we started recording that the last president to actually go against the cabal, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, was John F. Kennedy Jr., and he was killed. Yeah. You could make the argument that the 4 presidents that tried to push back were Abraham Lincoln, on some level, because I think he had his own flaws. But Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, who was shot in the stomach and then completely did an about face after that, after he survived. And now Donald Trump, they tried to kill Donald Trump. Now, my thought is these are the 4 people who were trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We all got what we wanted. Biden lost, Kamala lost, now Trump is in the office. Trump is president. Now, we're here. So the party started now. We have 3+ years left. At the end of this term, because he can't run again, we will know if the Federal Reserve still exists. I don't care what happens between now and then. It's a loss.
Yeah.
So to that note, I mean, he is calling for Jerome Powell's resignation. That started yesterday. He's calling him out. Powell's supposed to be there till 2026. Trump wants him out now. So, you know, you could look at that for what it is. I am still maintaining a level of optimism.
I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah. I look at it this way. I think to have a defeatist attitude and not try to find the silver lining in any bad situation is a horrible way to go through life.
No, I agree.
So my hope is that even if Trump is not who we need him to be, I'd like to see more and more and more people continue to wake up through the course of this administration.
Yeah. I mean, it is waking people up, but I think it's waking people up against them, honestly.
But to your point, so I look at it this way, and I don't know why I keep saying that. One of the viewpoints I'm trying to make is this: Trump, in his first term, alerted the world to what we're experiencing today. He was the first president to go against the mainstream media. And granted, he wasn't perfect, and he still isn't perfect. But at the same time, he's the only one who's tried to push us and nudge us into a direction. Now, to me, that direction is people, wake the fuck up, stand up for yourselves. I can't do this alone. Like, that's how I'm looking at this.
But he should say that. That's what I think. I think that's when you don't wear the mask and you don't promote the vax.
Yes,
that's when...
I agree with you 100%. I would love nothing more for him to hold a press conference and say, I'm asking everyone, stop listening to the government. That would be crazy. No, but that's what I mean. Like, but I think that's what it's going to take. Trump, the white horse, and the grand deception. Okay.
I didn't want to put this one out here, but
do it.
but it just seems that way. So This is conspiracy, guys. This has nothing to do with the truth or not. This is just something that is possible. So a lot of people don't connect the dots when it comes to, I guess, religion and biblical stuff. I have a different theory that I believe they create the problem. Sometimes I believe they write stuff. I believe they fulfill stuff. So I have a whole different thing on what I think. So Revelation 6:2 speaks of a rider on a white horse who comes to conquering and to conquer. Traditionally, many believe that this symbolizes false peace or a deception of power, someone who appears as a savior bringing order, but ushers in great destruction under the guise of peace. So you remember the thing I said about Trump started no new wars?
Yeah.
Okay, so that as an anti-war figure, is widely supported by evangelicals, and he actually doesn't believe in Christ at all because he said, I will not ask for forgiveness. I don't believe in that. So that deceiving the evangelicals, deceiving the masses with the no new wars, the vaccine, he said the vaccine was the greatest gift to humanity. I feel like that was a massive deception.
Oh,
and
God,
the perfect one is the Noahide laws in Revelation 2:9-9. Okay, so Trump formally proclaimed Education and Sharing Day. Every year he was in office honoring Rabbi, it's a certain guy, Schneerson. I don't know their names because I don't pronounce their names very well.
Rabbi Cream Cheese and Whitefish.
So he's a key figure in the modern Noahide law promotion. So it became public law 102-114. So according to the Noahide laws, it's the foundation of civilization. So he appeared on the Trump temple coin for next to King Cyrus. So they're going to rebuild the third temple in Jerusalem, but they have to get rid of all those people and they have to get rid of the temple that's there because there's another temple there. So they have to get rid of that first. But there's the coin to rebuild it is Trump's on it next to King Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
So he also made Jerusalem Israel's capital. And he was elevated when those guys, there's a name for those guys. I don't know how to say their names. They're Chabad Lababuches or something. I don't know their names. So he also supports the Abraham
lovely booties.
Yeah, so the Noahide law under the globalist Zionist order pretending to be Judaism, which it is not. It's an opposite system. Zionism and Judaism don't work because Judaism says you can't steal or kill. So they're in opposition to each other. So Revelation 2:9 says, I know you're blaspheming who you say that you are Jews, but you are not. You are from the synagogue of Satan. So the Zionist and political front, what you call Revelation 2:9, could be the real world fulfillment of the prophecy. And Mystery Babylon would be America. That would be us because Israel is seen as the counterfeit chosen and America is its military enforcer because we give them all their shit.
Mm-hmm.
America could be Mystery Babylon. She makes all nations drink of her wine and her fornication, because our consumerism, our pharmakia, and our war, we export wars. She lives in luxury while exporting death and destruction. And anybody who truly digs in knows that all of our wars have been bankers' wars. So we do export death and destruction and also upon our own children. We export, the biotech from all the big pharma companies. So she deceives the world through sorcery, Greek pharmakia, and Trump has a lot to do with that pharmakia promoting the Operation Warp Speed and the new Operation Stargate with another AI that's pharmakia based. So as a symbolic figure, he may be the writer of deception, appearing as clean, noble, praised by Christians, but delivering Babylon's final blow and handing global authority to a false Zionist Messiah system. Oh, shit. I probably shouldn't have said all this, but well. It's all conspiracy. I don't know what's what. I'm just saying. The facts are the facts of the other ones. That one, it's just conspiracy, guys. Do your own research. Don't be feeling sad. If anything, you should be feeling like you need to learn more and start to get your own damn garden together, meet all your neighbors, make friends, be cool. And when the shit hits the fan, just remember to care about people and to be united. Because war is what they want. They want us to all hate each other. If something goes bad, that's what they want. So if we
the news pushes it every single. The politicians are openly pushing for violence now.
I mean, if it's too harsh, Steve, you can cut that out because that's kind of ruthless saying that he's the white horse in Revelation.
Listen,
so
because I've had this discussion with people. Matter of fact, we have a new member, Paul. I don't want to say his last name in case he wants to remain somewhat anonymous, but Paul and I have spoken several times. But we've had this discussion. He had some very interesting viewpoints about this. So I'm glad you brought it because look, I think at the when you take the totality of everything we discuss, everything that goes in, like put the state national stuff aside for a minute.
Okay.
If you look at like the grand scheme of everything that goes into what we do, what we believe, what shapes our reality, what drives our thoughts, our emotions, it's all given to us by an external source. And everything we're being given is in direct conflict to what our inner spirit is telling us.
Yeah.
The second you realize and conceptualize that, you can start to filter through the bullshit and the nonsense, and you can start to see reality for what it should be. So
that's a good one, Steve. That's perfect. I like that.
That's what I want people to take away from this. You know in your heart if something it just doesn't sit right. Your intuition is the Holy Spirit telling you something is off. If you just follow that gut instinct, it will not guide you wrong. And I'm telling you, my life has been beautiful and blessed and nonstop bliss since I stopped getting my information and my thoughts, my emotions, and how I react to my environment from external sources. I listen to what's in here.
No, you do well, dude. You have a very happy, go-lucky, good personality, and you help people, and you like to be funny. So just by making someone laugh, dude, you could really change someone's day, and you do that a lot. So I do like that, and I don't want to ever shit on anybody's optimism because you like Trump or think you have hope or any of that. Like, I am with you. I'm with all the people. I'm not like against people who sit on one side or the other. I just don't see it that way anymore. I see that
it's becoming increasingly hard to. Look, we all had high hopes and high expectations of Trump, but that he is doing a lot of questionable things. He's surrounding himself now. I think it's virtually impossible to be at his level, surrounded by people trying to implement the things you're trying to do. It's impossible to surround yourself with people who I'd like to say don't have some dirt under their fingernails. To get to that level of success and income, you have to do some dirty shit. You have to fuck people over. It's impossible. Now, I'm not justifying it. I'm not siding with it. What I'm saying is the industries and the things that he needs to align himself with, it's scumbags. It's like everyone is a dirtbag car salesman. But at the same time, do we really need all these industries?
So what do you think's going to happen with him being surrounded with all these individuals? Like, I think you know the conclusion. You know what's going to happen.
Yes, I can tell you right now. I tell you what my heart tells me, and this is something I learned in college.
The Antichrist is going to come.
No.
Not him. I'm not saying Trump is.
No.
Just so everybody knows, I don't think Trump is that person at all.
I think one of the rules of law in life, the rules of life, I like to say, is that you tend to become the average of the 5 people you spend all of your time with. So if you surround yourself with people who have nefarious intentions, have achieved their success in nefarious methods, you can't help but to become those people. I think Trump's biggest flaw, and the one that will get him into the most trouble, and the one that will guide him to hurt us, even if it's not what he wants to do, is his ego. I think his ego is his primary driving force, his need to be loved and liked. You can hear it when he talks. I don't like when he talks because he's constantly talking. Like, you ask him a question, Donald Trump, what do you think of that bridge? Oh, it's a beautiful bridge. I've driven over it several times. I know the people that built it. Great people, beautiful people. Like, he can't help but inflate himself every time he opens his mouth. And I don't think that's a very
what do you think about his ear getting shot off? Because his ear's not missing, dude. I saw a video or a picture where they showed Mike Tyson's where he bit Evander Holyfield, right?
Evander Holyfield, yep.
Yeah, homeboy's ear's still missing, and Trump's is already back to normal.
Well, Trump only got grazed. It didn't shoot his ear off.
Yeah, but there's nothing. Even from the there's no mark, dude. And I don't know, if you even get shot, I don't know, dude. I don't know. So, I shot a lot of guns growing up.
All right, here's what I want you to do.
I had guns before my mom even knew I had guns.
I want everyone to do this. Everyone who's listening and watching.
Shoot your ear off and let's see what it looks like.
Get a camcorder. No. Go on YouTube and look up Sniper Nicholas Irving.
Okay.
Look up Sniper Nick Irving. And he goes into extravagant detail. He's one of the most successful, most prolific snipers in U.S. military history.
Okay.
And he's been very vocal. He has some very candid, very sad stories, but he's very clear about what happens. And he talked about the Trump sniper. Just go look up.
What did he
Sniper.
say? What was the overall? Did he think it was real, fake? What?
No, he thinks it was real. He was adamant that he thinks it was real.
Dude,
but
there was a guy with an assault rifle. You know where the DEIs were getting all stupid, those chicks, and there was a dude that pointed an assault rifle right at Trump, and it's almost like in his earpiece they said, "Nah, don't." Yeah, I swear. It's a new clip that I just saw. I was like, "Oh, that's weird."
But check. So, but not that I want to see. I'm not telling you to watch Nicholas Irving because he's defending Trump and saying it's real. But what he does in other videos, he goes into extreme graphic detail about what happens when a bullet from certain guns, from a 9mm up to a 50 cal, even if it misses, what happens when it gets into proximity of your body. Like as an example, he gives an example. They said, what happens with a 50 cal bullet? He goes, you don't even have to hit somebody. He goes, I fired a 50 cal off an armored truck once. He goes, I missed the guy by 3 feet. It took his arm right off. He goes, I missed him by 2.5, 3 feet. He goes, it took half of his arm off with it. He said, because the pressure and the intensity and the velocity is so high. He says, he goes, I've hit people with a 50 cal bullet. He says, and what's left of their body just looks like jello. He goes, that's the only way I can describe it. Wow, he goes, I shot a guy with a 50 cal once. He says, I shot him in the torso. He goes, his whole upper body just evaporated into like a jelly mist. He said his legs took a few more steps than just stopped. He said that I missed the guy once. He goes, I missed him by a good 2 feet. I think it was 2 feet. He goes, and it took half of his arm off when the bullet went by because the velocity is so fast.
I don't know anything about missing and still hitting because it's so big. But damn.
Yeah, he said a 50 cal bullet, you don't have to hit if it's a human being. He goes, you don't have to hit the target. He goes, it'll tear you apart just coming close to you. He said, because the velocity and the magnitude of that bullet is so intense.
People know a lot more than I don't know that much when it comes to actual
check him out. He
he
had a very interesting perspective on the Trump shooting because he was asked directly about it. But if you just go watch some of the videos, he talks about hitting and missing people with certain caliber bullets.
We need to do a video on the military industrial complex and get this shit real shadow banned. Because there's a lot of data. And just the fact that all of us have to kill each other forever. Like, does any of us ever question why are we shooting each other for these assholes?
Or it's just population control. It's money. Like,
and profit.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you don't. But here's what I'm saying. Like, you don't. If at the end of the day, you can just print money, what do you need to make profits for? Hey, what the fuck is the difference? Like, why do we have to go to war to fight if you can just print money?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm agreeing with you. Like, I think it's the oldest form of population control.
I think so too. I think they attack themselves because they print the money. I think they're like prepping it up. I think they do it all. I honestly think that. And I'm not against the thing. I see the ignorance of how everyone sways to whatever the TV says, and I'm kind of like, can you blame them? I'm like, y'all the fuckers following them. I'm like,
I know.
But also, I didn't wake myself up, Steve, so I'm not like so high and mighty. Oh, I'm so smart. I'm so powerful. Hell no. Whatever happened with me is just timing, divine timing. It had nothing to do with me. I was living. Dude, I was like homeboy in the kids Lego movie where he's just like la 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 la. I was like that. I was like, I'll ride my bikes, make money, go do. I thought a certain way. You kind of like, my goal was to always be funny. I worked around a lot of people, and that's kind of how I was. I was always like the life of the party, and that's what I liked. I liked that. And then when I woke up, I was all sad. I was like, I'm still kind of sad from waking up, to be honest. I haven't fully overcame it. And the more I wake up to it, the more I'm coming to a different reality about what our true world is. And it's not what, I don't know. Even when I realized like Christmas was fake, when I learned all the stuff and how they lied to us, I was so sad.
I'm so glad you said that. I wanted to tell you something. I did some math. Because I figured when they switched us off to the 13-month Gregorian calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so I look at it this way. I'm 46 years old. Okay, so my whole life, they've taken 1 month of life away from me for 46 years.
Yeah.
So do the math, that's roughly 4 years. So I'm actually only 42 years old.
That's awesome.
So I'm celebrating going forward that I'm actually only 40. So I'll be 43, not 47 this August. I'm done with the bullshit. And if you look, the Bible, I think it was from 1576, was the last written Bible.
With the 13 months?
Where they still acknowledge a 13-month calendar.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling you, good luck trying to find the thought process behind changing it. It's to just throw us off of our circadian rhythms and pull us out of our spirituality.
See, that's everything. That's why I think they manipulate on such a mass scale. People couldn't fathom taking your calendar and switching it would affect you, or giving you fake holidays or whatever. But it does.
Go look up why they call it April Fool's Day. It's because that's actually January the 1st of the year.
Yeah, that's the first day.
Yes,
yeah,
the first day of the new year is April 1st. They fucking lie to you, but they tell you the truth.
See, I like how you you have feet on all different fences and you do well with it. I like it.
I try to stay in both realities because it allows me to converse and see things from multiple perspectives.
No, that's good.
So
that's good.
You know what I mean? Like I know my audience. I know when it's appropriate for me to hold certain conversations. I know when it's a waste of my time to bring up certain things. So
yeah.
But then again, and you know this. I mean, everyone who's listening to the show knows this. You know, I work for Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, so I'm on the corporate side. So I work for the devil. I work for healthcare. I work for a vertical, an industry that makes its money by people being sick and keeping you sick. So it's like I can't go off the deep end and stay in this version of myself. I have to exist in both worlds.
No, I think it's good. No, it's good, dude.
But it allows me to kind of communicate and stay relevant with anyone and everyone.
No, everybody works like you, Steve. And people can relate to what you're doing because majority of Americans work for some company or corporation or a federal job. So you're very relatable in that, and everyone wants someone to relate to. So I think that's good, dude. I didn't have that because I refused to work for people. I would not do it. I was like, fuck this. I never could. I don't know what it was. There's just something was wrong with me. They're like,
Kenny, I was the same way. I'm
bad.
I'm going to tell you what my turning point in my life was. So for anyone listening and watching, for those who don't know, in 2002, I got arrested for a fight at a frat house at University of Rhode Island. 2:30 in the morning, I went there over an ex-girlfriend. I kicked in the front door of the house. Actually, I didn't go there with any malicious intent. I went there.
Wow, Steve, I've never heard this, guys. Yeah, this is all new. So okay, keep going.
I went to the house because an ex-girlfriend was there. Now, I used to work with the guys who were at the university, who worked at a banquet hall together at the time. So I went down to 2:30 in the morning, down near the beach, and I knocked on the door. I asked if I could speak to my ex-girlfriend. Her car was there. They were having a party. It was like 8 or 9 people in the house. So whoever answered the door, shut the door in my face, told me to go fuck myself. So it was a raised ranch. So I turned around to walk back to my car. From the second floor, somebody threw a bottle. It whizzed by my head and hit the front of my car. So all right, you called down the thunder. You asked for it. I walked over to the front door. They locked the front door. My hand to God. My attorney at the time, years later, I eventually got this arrest expunged. But years later, my attorney who had it expunged, she looked at, because they still had Polaroid pictures. This is in 2002. She says, Steve, she goes, this fucking house looks like it survived Hurricane Katrina. She goes, what the hell did you do? I ripped out 2 6-foot sections of stockade fence, 6-foot high fence. I ripped it off. I ripped it out of the ground. I went around up the back of the house. I ripped half of the sliding glass door off the back of the house. I couldn't get it completely off, so I went back around to the front of the house. I got a running start. I dropped my shoulder. I went right through the front door. I dropped my shoulder. I went through the storm door. I took the whole front door, the casing, everything. So it's a raised ranch. So when you go in, there's a landing, stairs going up and stairs going down. The whole fucking front of the house, the whole door, bang, fell right inside on the door. I fell because I had so much momentum. I fell down the stairs into the basement. Everybody had locked themselves in that room. So I knocked on the door. And I hear a girl on the phone with the police. So I take a couple of steps back. I ran through that door, but somebody was listening on the other side. So when I dropped my shoulder, went through the bedroom, the door hit the kid in the temple, knocked one kid out cold. I went in the room. I grabbed one kid. I threw him by his neck and his face over the bed. And then the guy that I went there to engage with, tall guy, he had like 6 inches on me. He grabbed me and by the neck and he was just trying to hold me back. I threw a haymaker. I was bombed because I've been out drinking with buddies all night.
How old were you?
This was 22. So 2002. I was born in 78.
Hey, you're
23?
young.
23
yeah,
or somewhere around there.
Damn.
I threw a haymaker.
I'm just making sure this wasn't like last week or something.
No.
I'm just kidding.
So I threw a haymaker. I completely airmailed it. I punched myself in my side. I bruised myself because I missed. I punched myself. So he's holding me up against the wall. So I finally connected. I hit him. I split his temple and his orbital bone. I cracked him here. So he went back, and the girl that was on the phone with the police, it was a flip phone. So I grabbed the phone from her. I said, "Send the SWAT team," and I broke her phone in half and threw it. So by the time the cops got there,
you're lucky they didn't Waco your ass, dude.
Oh no, they fucked me up. So when the cops showed up, her and I were in the garage. It was an attached garage. We're talking, and cops came in, mag flashlights, batons. They beat the fight. A hematoma on the back of my head. My tricep was like fucking this with a blood. They fucked me up. They hogtied me, carried me out of the house, go to the station. The next day, my mother and my kid sister picked me up in county, and I was so embarrassed. I was just like, that was the low point for me. And then shortly after that, my sister got her master's degree. So I went to her graduation, and I saw how proud my family was of her. And I'm like, man, I'm fucking sick of letting people down. I'm like, I want my family to look at me the way they look at my kid sister. That was, and since then, I think I've gotten a speeding ticket since 2002. I've done nothing. Like, it just, that was my rock bottom. But I was a troublemaker. I was a nonconformist. You couldn't tell me what to do. I broke a teacher's finger in high school. She was scolding me. She poked me in my neck. I took her finger. I bent it back. I fractured her finger. They tried to expel me, but when she poked me, she left a mark on my neck. So my mother showed up to the school. She goes, "No, that's fine." She goes, "Expel my son." She goes, I'll be filing a lawsuit for assault. Don't worry about it." So they wound up just giving me like 3 days detention because the teacher technically assaulted me. But here's the funny part of that story. A couple of years later, a friend of mine is he's at CCRI. He's in class, and he's in a law enforcement class. So they're talking about domestic violence and this and that. Some girl starts telling a story about this fucking psychotic guy that broke into a frat house and beat up a couple of guys, blah, blah, blah. So my friend Dave's in the class. He goes, "Wait a minute." He says, "Are you talking about Steve Bardi?" She goes, "You know that animal?" He goes, "Yeah, he's one of my best friends." She was telling the story about me at the college like 3 years later.
That's pretty funny. That's cool. It's always good, you do something terrible. At least it makes a laugh out of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
shit, dude.
That was my turning point. So it's like, I've always been like a kind of contrarian. Like, I've never bought into like policy, procedure, marching in line. But again, we've talked about this. I think it's that resilience in us that makes us the perfect people for this type of encounter. You know what I mean?
No, gosh, Steve, I did not know anything about this. So everybody knows, I've never heard this. This is a pretty wild. I must say, it's a pretty wild story. And if it was a little bit of a lunatic, how would you feel if that was your daughter? I'm just curious. Now looking back, it's been a long time. Okay, so let's say the girl that you knocked the door down, even if she was cheating, what if it was your daughter? You ever think like,
no,
like, fuck,
listen,
man,
but this is the problem. Like, when you're
that's how 21, you learn.
Yeah, it's just, look, it's embarrassing. And ironically enough, I ran into her recently at a grocery store. Because we only live like 10 minutes.
That door down too?
No, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I never even told my wife this story.
Shit.
When I saw her, I haven't seen her in 20 some odd years, if not longer. I went up behind her. I mean, we saw each other. So I went up to her and I said, "Hello." I said, "I'm sorry." I almost cried when I talked to her. And I told her, I go, "You don't have to say anything. I'm like, I just need you to know how incredibly sorry I am for what I did to you when we were kids." She didn't give a shit, but it was just like, it was a release of you. I being able to apologize because I'm not that person anymore. It's embarrassing. Yeah. But it's just, you do dumb shit. Like, we've talked about this. You did dumb shit when you were a kid.
Dude, I did the dumbest shit.
But that's you learn
just
from
so
it,
you don't look so bad. Look, all right, I'll tell people something that happened. It wasn't even that long ago, but I grew up really bad and I was always in trouble and I enjoyed it. I was like, "Oh yeah, bring it on." I was like ready for it. And there was a guy, because I started doing this movement, and I was doing really good. Like, I was kicking butt, going viral nonstop, making 11 accounts, all over 100,000 followers. And then there was like a little guy, I know you've heard the story, and he wanted to just meet us. He's like, "Hey man, what you doing? I know this about this guy. You think he's good, but he's actually a bad guy." So we go and meet him. Turns out the dude's super negative. So I was like, I really don't want to associate with you, but I'll give you a chance. He wanted to teach us about the 1099s and what he does and all that shit. So I said, all right. So we gave him like some silver rolls of coins, like real silver. And then a couple other people came up and like 2 other people paid for his class. And there was like 3 of us. In the course of that 2 days, this dude was the most negative fucking little bastard I ever met. So I was like, bro, I can't associate with you. I don't like your process. I don't agree with your process. But, I don't want, any bad, ill will. This dude goes on for a year making negative videos about me and getting a bunch of people to talk bad about me, right? And I'm a nice guy now, but I grew up pretty rough, like pretty rough. I was like, God, in our bus, if y'all started shit, the dads will come outside. I remember this one kid's dad on my bus. They'd come outside. They make the kids fight. We were not y'all's generation. We were like the fist fighters. We're not, I swear. And the parents were in on it too. The parents would, it's just, it is what it is.
It was a different generation back then.
Completely different. Yeah. So, that guy makes videos for a year about me, talking so much shit that I was so hard to keep my cool, right? And so I just told him, like, I'm going to go to your house. And I did. He shot me with a rubber gun in 5 seconds, and then I knocked him out in front of his sink. And that was like a low point for me too, but he deserved it. I just want to say, because a lot of people asked about that. Did that really happen?
Sometimes you can't wait for karma.
Someone asked in the Brandon, the Joe Brandon, when we did that interview with him. Yeah. Someone asked, hey, ask him if he did knock out that guy. And I just want to tell you, yes, I did knock out that guy right in front of his house. And I probably shouldn't have done it, but there was no solution. And honestly, what come of it was fully legal. And I don't want to sound like it was. I took in Texas, we have the, where you could duel and shoot each other. Well, we have that, but it's just for fighting. There's mutual combat clause in Texas. And if you meet the mutual combat, like if you meet the, the requirements,
there's a criteria for it.
Yeah, there's a criteria. So I took it to him and I showed him, and they both agreed. Yeah, we'll fight, and knocked his ass out. I was like, he shouldn't have agreed, but they did on camera, and he assaulted me first. So I literally just took the video, showed the detectives, and because of course the dude's like, oh, I'm not gonna call the cops first thing. Ring, cops! Help, I hear him on the way. So I just drove straight to the police station and gave him the video. I was like, here you go. And they're like, yeah, that's mutual combat, and he shot you in the face. Yeah. So what a clown. I was like, what a clown. I get sick of people doing stuff like that. Like, I'm a really cool guy. I try to change and do things for the better of others, not even myself. And so I think we can all relate to that. And I want you to know, like, we're not scared, and we're definitely not cowards. So please don't treat us like that.
Nah, man, look, I learned a long time ago, you get from the universe what you put into it. Yeah. And I got to say, I like my life a lot better now. I really do.
I know. I shouldn't have been fighting, but I do. What I really want to do is have a male class where we teach, we'll get like probably someone who's really good at jujitsu to teach like a defense instead of like an attack. Because I felt bad. The dude had a big black guy bleeding all over the place.
Yeah, I don't like hurting people. I don't. I genuinely despise it.
I think if we create a class for men, that's what I was working on for this year. And we integrate at the end, maybe from working out and go all the way to like a jujitsu class for defense. And then I think that'll help men be men so they can stop acting like a bunch of bitches. And that way they don't hurt people. They could defend themselves and defend their family.
Man. It's just, see, I try to carry myself when I'm out in public. I try to just be happy-go-lucky, funny, this and that. Like, it's funny because people look at me and they're like, all right, I'm a short, stocky guy. Everyone thinks I'm a cop. Like, I look like I can handle myself.
You look like a cop, kind of,
I get it all the time. But, like, and I'm good with that. If people can look at me and think, okay, this guy might be dangerous, I'm fine with that. I don't like, I'll tell you the real reason I don't like getting into altercations, because I love working out. If I break a bone or my hand or something, then I can't work out. Yeah. That is more important than that 30 seconds of whatever I got.
Oh, yeah. What's up? So, dude, I wouldn't even be mad at people in the streets mess with me. I'm like, cool. I totally look past it. That dude No, we transcribed him. He made like 60 or 70. I didn't do it. Gwen did it for me because I was so mad at that little bastard. But she transcribed 60 or 70 videos, and we sent it to the detectives so they could see his level.
It looks like, his
level of harassment. Dude, it was so bad transcribed. I was like, God, no wonder why I was so mad. And all the people that know me are like, how did you make it that long? They're all like impressed, like, Kenny, you've come a long way. It took him a whole year to make you mad.
At the end of the day, man, sometimes you got to slap somebody in the mouth just to shut them up. It is what it is.
Well, I think a lot of people want to see an internet troll get knocked out, and I wish I could have promoted that video more, but obviously they didn't let that get out. But that's what happened. And that guy was a bad guy. It wasn't like he's a good guy. He actually is sitting in federal prison for that crap he was teaching. And probably
that's right.
Yeah, no, he's doing illegal stuff. I told him, like, dude, that's wrong. You can't do that. And then what? Now who's in jail, dumbass?
Speaking of which, we have a new member, George. George, I know you. We spoke just before we got on this call.
Okay.
He had asked me if I'm going to go through and get the allodial title and pull my house off like the property tax rolls and my. I don't know anyone that's successfully navigated that process personally. Do you know of anyone that's actually successfully done that?
So I know that the only way that I don't personally, but if there was a way to do it, I would think the only thing you could do to really protect yourself. I saw the ladies of Bonds for the Win talking about that exact thing. And those are the people, remember when the school boards were having all those issues and kicking parents out and arresting parents? Bonds for the Win is like state nationals. They're just slightly different. It's women, but they're badass. And I saw them at like a county clerk's office explaining exactly that. So they're talking about how they converted our lands and how to take it off the rolls and all that. And I would suggest something to anyone who wanted to do that. If you truly are going to do that, create a separate trust, take those taxes you would pay, put them in that trust and keep them there with stipulations that you'll pay it only under these conditions being met, like no sending, make it impossible, but make it constitutional. No sending foreign aid to other countries violating this constitutional like amendment, and put all the things they're violating. And if they stop violating it, then you'll pay it. And then if they ever take you to court, you don't have to worry about back digging on the money. You already have the money there. So you could show that your intention was always to follow the Constitution. And if you can break their intention, you can do a lot of stuff. But also like, yeah, that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. And it would protect you. I would do both. I don't know, because I think they're going to Costa Rica, but if we get land here, I'm going to do it here, and I'll let you know how it goes here.
Yeah,
and
to me, it just seems like the mindset I take is, because my wife and I are professionals, because we have an obligation Monday through Friday to go to work and be accessible to our employers. I try to steer away from anything that could potentially drag me in court for extended periods of time or multiple occasions.
That's the smartest thing, Steve.
Look, to me, it's just, we rely on our income. To me, it's just not worth the aggravation. The tax piece was huge for me. That was, huge for the both of us. I'm content with that. In terms of like getting rid of the driver's license and unregistering my truck, like I honestly don't really care about all that shit. I genuinely don't. I don't do anything to draw attention to myself.
Because it makes it so difficult, dude. I try to tell people, like, if you're going to get rid of your license or registration, you're going to fight an uphill battle. And if that's what you want, you can do it. But I'm telling you, you should be very skilled. And the majority of people who do that, Steve, they're not skilled nearly enough, and they're doing it. And I can't judge them because I did the same shit. But yeah, you're right. Pick your battles. And I think you're doing it smart, dude, to be honest.
I try to, and I'm very honest. Like when I have conversations with our members, new members, I just try to be upfront with them. Like, look, I'm not looking to be the guy to make an example of myself for the betterment of other people. Like if somebody wants to go ahead and try it before me, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to monetary gains, once you can save your federal income tax money, like for me, it's been 2021, I think, was the last time I paid. I haven't filed in a couple of years. I've had zero issues, zero pushback. To me, that's a big win. And then with that, then it gives you a little bit of flexibility, the ability, like if you want to pick your battles or you want to go pick another battle, now you have the means to go through and maybe fight that fight. But at the end of the day, to me, it's just not worth it.
No, I agree, dude.
If you want to go live off grid somewhere out in the woods all by yourself, there's plenty of states where you can go and do that, and they probably won't bust your balls. But I live in the Northeast. I live in Rhode Island. It's a very blue state. So I don't want to bring all hell down on myself. It's just not worth it. Plus,
I think that's
I got a bunch of guns in my house that I was supposed to turn in because they banned magazines and did this and did that. So I'm not trying to draw any attention to myself.
Well, you shouldn't. You could actually, all the banning of anything firearm wise, man, this is what I think everyone's missing, Steve. I think, and I told you that I created the tool for it because it's what we're all missing. People don't know how to litigate it all. They don't know like, you don't know where to start. Like, nobody knows. So I think we are going to have something to fix it because I created it, but I can't launch it yet. But soon we will have something to help people with that. But no, I think you're very smart in only doing the things that truly benefit your freedom, because the whole system is pinned against us. So using your intellect to only maneuver in certain positions that gives you your maximized freedom without causing friction, like the driver's license or registration, because that's hard, dude. I just had another gentleman, same thing, driving without license, doing all that. And I'm like, bro, that's such a hard fight. Like, I get it. People want to be like Carl Miller and be warriors, but if you're not good in court, that's difficult, dude.
To your point, my thing is, I'm not willing to sacrifice my time and all that aggravation for what is going to be a continuous battle. And it's all these little battles that are going to lead into a war. That's essentially what it is. Because once you draw that kind of attention to yourself, well, what else are they going to come down on you for? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, a lot of people won't like what I'm about to say. A lot of state nationals. I'm not willing to just invest my time and the money I've saved fighting fights that don't really mean that much to me. You know what I mean? To drive without a license. Okay. I'm not planning on breaking the law now. I know a lot of people are going to say, wow, the laws are bullshit. Well, it is what it is. We exist inside of this matrix system, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I'm not trying to go out and break the law, so I don't really feel the need to do anything to skirt the law.
Some people, that's why we're all different too. Some people will want to do that battle. And I think as people realize how they convert the right into a privilege and then start to maneuver where they can take you to jail. Like, there is not one rich person that a ticket has ever harmed. But if you get someone who works, college student, it's detrimental having to pay a $300 ticket for a fucking stupid speeding or anything that has no victim. And that's where people are so deceived in their mind. They would never, like, my mom cannot fathom anything about taking tickets away. Oh my God. She was like, no, we need the government to protect us. Yeah, we do. We need to make sure and turn around that they're standing right there every time. Like, fuck that. I think you might have to cut some of this because we kind of went a little haywire, but whatever. I don't care.
I like when we free ball it like this. I love going to commando with you. Yep, I love going commando with you.
You're funny. Well, I think, man, I don't know. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up because with what Ashley's doing and what everyone's doing as a whole, it's going to be way more exciting because it's like we're like, I think this is the best way to describe us. We're like liquid. Literally,
you're evolving.
Yeah.
You are.
Someone told us that, and I was like, "Oh, I like that," because we always adapt. Oh, you know what? I know who it was. I know exactly who said that. He said, "You're like liquid. Y'all always are adapting." He used to be a bass player. I called him a drummer. He's like, "Bass player." I was like, "Sorry." For Paramore.
Yeah, but
that's who he was.
So for anyone who hasn't looked yet, like the new website looks fantastic. It's coming along. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
You guys have had some issues on the back end of things that you're correcting. But at the same time, I'd like to point out that you have to be adaptable. You have to be malleable. You have to be liquid because the government is always going to continue to change things, move information, change codes, change statute. So if your whole objective was to create one website and never update it, you'd be dead in the water. So as much of a pain in the ass as it is, and as inconvenienced as your family is being in different states, different countries.
Oh yeah, dude. It's
the sacrifice you guys are putting yourselves through. We all owe you. I can't say this enough. I can't thank you and your family enough for all the time and energy you guys have put into helping me, teach me, giving me the opportunity to join you on this podcast. It's like every time we speak, text, whatever it is, it's all coachable moments, and so we learn a lot, right? Fucking around, we're just like learning because we always have something crazy. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? I like it. But to me, it's the evolution from when I first found you guys to the first conversation with Ashley, and then for months I was communicating with Ashley via email, then on the phone, and then I finally got to meet you. Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. I was like starstruck. I'm like, you were like this internet fucking sensation And now here I am. I consider you family at this point. We have a podcast together.
That's fucking cool. Well, they banned me on the internet, just so you know, so I'm not anymore. I know it was cool getting all those views, and I was very happy that I felt like finally I could help the collective see that's probably my greatest gift, and I feel like it doesn't come from me, where the pictures of the ideas of how the connections happen, it connects in my mind, and it's like I'm viewing the connections, but it's not me doing it. And I know that sounds really weird, but I'm like viewing them, and I have a good memory. So then I write them all down, and I go look them up, and I make something about it, and I start to connect the dots, because I think that's something like Nikola Tesla was teaching us, like and Dr. Joe Dispenza, not all thoughts are your own. And so they can be good and they can be bad, like the good and the bad angel, like religion.
Yeah.
And you kind of choose which one you give your attention to, and that decides who you are as a personality. And I think that's what's happening, because you know how you think, right, Steve? Like, okay, I think like this, so thoughts like this align with how I am.
Yeah.
But what about when a thought comes in your head that's not in alignment with who you are? Don't you wonder where that came from? Considering we're electrical beings and we're receiving signals, and they said that your pineal gland is literally like the receiver, like the antenna, and then the fluoride in the water helps like attack it, so it calcifies, so it can't send out electrical signals and pick up on those frequencies. But that's what I think they're doing with the towers and all the frequency.
I think so too.
I think they're able, like, using voice of God to, how the fuck did all those people buy toilet paper?
Dude.
I was like, somehow they shot that shit through the air, and all those people who were wired up, ready to go through the Hitachi Smart Dust, they were like, toilet paper. Yeah,
I'd like to point something out. Ever since the whole toilet paper fiasco, I have not switched back. I still use baby wipes. I'll never go back.
Really?
I've been using. So my thought was, when I couldn't get toilet paper, because I'm like, I go to this grocery store and there's lines of fucking people buying nothing but toilet paper. I'm like,
why?
I'm like, what the fuck? So I started using baby wipes. Now, if I go to use toilet paper, it's like wiping my ass with 80 grit sandpaper. I'm like, fuck this.
Well, they say there's a lot of PFAs in toilet paper. There's a bunch of exposure coming out for the
forever
chemicals.
I'm not going to lie to you. My asshole is very feminine at this point. So I believe that.
Yeah, I think toilet paper, they say, because your bums is very sensitive. It absorbs a lot of stuff really easy. So they say that they attack us through that, through everything.
I still got a class ring up there somewhere I can't find. That's a whole other podcast.
A class ring? Oh, you caught me. I was like, wait, I thought you were saying something serious. No, of course not.
No, that's my one ill-timed joke for the show.
Yeah, that's not bad. That was pretty PG-ish.
All right, so we'll put something together, and next week we'll see how my week goes. Maybe next Friday we can record again. But yeah, we'll put something together. I'd like to go deeper into the conspiracy stuff, especially now that the JFK files came out and they have shown you that the word conspiracy theory was created by the CIA. So,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, if you do leave our little talks about fighting, sorry about that, guys. I know a lot of people are probably like, Kenny, you're so nice. Actually, I'm not. I'm kind of like...
Listen, but that's part of being a man. You have to, at some point, if you're challenged, you have to rise to it. If your family's in danger, you have to protect them. Your children are in danger, you have to protect them. For me, I wasn't protecting anyone. It was just a drunken, stupid fucking thing. But I only told that story because that was my turning point.
Your turning point.
That was my low point. I was blessed enough to realize I did not like who I was becoming. I saw my younger sister becoming this magnificent woman, and I'm like, I want that. I'm like, I want my family to look at me the way they look at my sister.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off to get there.
No, that's really good. Mine is not the same, because that was like your life thing. If anybody were to ever do that, we became so good at litigation that we will sue them so fast. Yeah. So I never have to put myself in the position, because there's a dangerous part that we didn't talk about in that story. But we're not going to, because it was like looked like a setup, and almost someone had a real thing and they were trying to do it for real, but it didn't work out. So I told my family, we just learned litigation to the fullest, and now, like, if they were to ever make 70 slanderous videos, I'd sue you so quick after a couple. I wouldn't even waste time. As a matter of fact, they're kind of slacking on our TikTok lawsuit. I don't know what's up with that, but if they keep slacking, I'm just gonna file it myself. I'm already tired of waiting. Like, I don't know what the hold up. I thought they filed it, but I haven't actually found out. So I'm going to find out with this if they're like find out the scoop, and if not, bro, I'm gonna file it myself. I'm sick of this. It's not even hard.
No, you got the
Not
knowledge.
once you know, and a lot of people don't know that we have something coming out called Due Process Defender that will actually help you with court, and it'll guide you. It'll give
That'll
you
be cool.
advice.
I don't want to spill the beans of what we talked about, but I'm really looking forward to that.
I know,
I might go break the law when that comes out just to use it.
Just to try it out, right?
Just to see if it works.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. You did a good, like, funny little.
It was good. We've been long overdue for a Trump episode because I think everybody, including me, needs a reality check. But hey, listen, we're in it now, so we got 3+ years left. We'll find out at the end of this administration if I was right or wrong. So
what do you want to bet?
I got a $500 bet with my friend Nate Salvaggio right now. I got $500.
What did y'all bet? Explain how that.
So I bet $500 that he was going to get rid of the IRS by spring. I thought it would happen prior or right around tax time. He gave me till December 31st, which I'm looking hindsight 2020. I'm like, fuck, he probably won't do it.
We need to make bets, like specific bets. I would like to bet that the financial system collapses and they implement CBDC through. They're going to save us, and then we go to a central currency through some sort of thing that's outside. It's like not Trump's fault. It's someone else's fault. That's what I think most likely will happen in my.
So why don't we do this? How about part of the next episode? We'll do a predictive episode. We'll go over. Yeah, fuck it.
All right.
You got a crystal ball somewhere in your house?
Not here.
I don't either. I'm gonna go buy a magic 8-ball at the dollar store. I'll bring it for the next show.
Oh yeah, that'll work. I'll get an 8-ball, one of those little.
Not the ones kind you people are thinking about, you sick fucks.
Not the ones from Steve's last episode.
Yeah, not those. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, for listening to all the new subscribers on YouTube. I don't monitor like the audio sites for like the downloads, but like I get an update every time somebody subscribes from YouTube. So thank you to everyone who subscribed.
We're on YouTube?
All of our shows are on YouTube, yeah.
I didn't. I thought they banned
YouTube and Rumble, for some reason, BitChute. Every time I go to upload a show to BitChute, it tells me it's too big. Then I go to break it down into 2 episodes. Like I'll split the show up, and it just is a constant error. I've emailed them 3 times, so I'm like, okay, I'm all set with BitChute. So
that's a good thing. Too big is always good.
So we're on YouTube, and Rumble is where the videos, but then the videos are also up on Spotify. Spotify gives you the audio and the videos, so you can watch the shows on 3
that's
three
cool.
different platforms.
Spotify. All right, badass. I didn't even know. I thought we were...
Well, you know what it is? Because we're recording this, obviously, and then I go through and edit it before I post it, so I don't go back and watch them after the fact because I've lived it and then watched it a second time. So I typically don't go back and watch the shows just because I've already seen them twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, that's cool.
And I can't stand my voice. I sound all nasally and Jewish. I don't like it.
Imagine if you heard. Okay, he says he hates to hear his voice.
Oh, that's right. I can't say anything anti-Semitic, but that's I just said. Well, listen. I'm gonna let the whole crowd know something about my family's history. I'm gonna show you guys
my family says, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen?"
No. My mother's birth father. So here he is. My mother's birth father died when she was young. He was 35. He died of a stroke. All right, he was a Marine, semi-pro football player, but he was Jewish. This is his headstone. I don't know if you could see that. Oh shit, it's too bright.
No, it's too bright.
Fuck. I'm gonna take a picture and post it on there.
So your family is Jewish, so you can say whatever you want. Basically.
So my grandfather, on his headstone in the military cemetery in Long Island, where he's buried, I took my mother there for his 60th anniversary last year. Me and my sister took it to Long Island. And he has the Star of David on his headstone. He was Puerto Rican, Russian, and Spanish, but he followed the Jewish religion. So technically I could be as anti-Semitic as I want. Technically.
Hey, did you know that? Since you said that, you know, while Hitler was persecuting the Jews, did you know there was an opposite of that? Stalin was on the opposite side. He'll put you to death if you were anti-Semitic. There's anti-Semitic laws in Stalin's communists in the 1930s.
Really?
Yeah. and then you had Hitler chasing the Jews, and you had Stalin killing people for anti-Semitism. The punishment was death. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Okay,
I was
I'm going to tell you some of my family's history. So my great-grandfather was a colonel in the Spanish Army. So when my grandmother and her twin sister, when they were kids, they lived in Spain, and they were always carted around in the presidential or the colonel's limo, had the flags in the front, whatever. But my great-grandfather was one of the people that taught Franco how to goose step, how to teach the soldiers how to goose step. I have photographs of this. I have old black and white photos of my great-grandfather goose stepping with Franco.
That's pretty crazy.
Fucking wild.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fucking wild.
Well.
So I have a little bit of Nazi-ish, a little bit of Jewish, and then there's me stuck in the middle. I'm a living conundrum.
That's funny. I think a lot of Americans are. Honestly, I don't know, because I won't do the 23andMe or any of that stuff. I don't really know. I just know my grandparents were here for the Great Depression, and they talk about it back in the day. Yeah. And they were my grandpa was military on both sides. One side died, one side lived. So my family already bled and died for this bullshit. My brother was in. He stayed in like 7 years. I don't know how long my brother stayed in, but I just never could listen, dude. I can't listen. I told you, right? You sent me the workout. I was like, dude, I have this problem. I told you, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. I just won't listen to anybody.
I gotta send you a picture. So when my grandmother passed away recently, I have on the floor next to me, I have all of my grandfather's like war medals and things like that.
That's cool.
But one of the things that he had is a Knights Templar ceremonial sword.
Let's knight ourselves, bro. We'll be like national knights and shit.
I have that.
We'll be using it for good.
I showed it to a historian, a local guy, and I said, I'd like to get this cleaned up, this and that. He goes, don't fucking touch this thing. Because when you take it out, when you unsheath it, it's got like the Knights Templar on the pommel, and then on the sheath, it's got all these cool inscribings. But when you open it, it's got the name of the guy who owned the sword and all these cool inscribings on it. So I was going to get it cleaned up and this and that. And I wanted to put it in. So I'm going to put it in like a nice velvet case, like a frame with his medals and all that. But he had. So I don't know.
Your grandpa was a Freemason?
No, he was a knight.
Like it. I mean,
sounds like it. He was
a lot of
Columbus.
grandpas were, dude. That's like a common thing. My grandpa passed down this book or this, and that's how we're like figuring it out, you know. And people were having these Masonic books.
He got it from the Knights of Columbus. He was a Knight of Columbus.
That's the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
There's one down the street from my like childhood friend. There's a Knight of Columbus right down the street. That's a Freemason sect.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. But in my office, in my safe right now with my guns, I have a Knights Templar ceremonial sword.
Well, did you want to get knighted, or what do you want to do with it? You just want to collect it?
Well, I promised my neighbor's kid next door, if society falls and zombies come around, I told him he could use the sword.
You can dub people and just use it for good. I know. I think a lot of people don't know that, you know, there's a lot of good and bad in all of that. And you know, dude, this is kind of crazy. Since I know that the layers of how they structure everything has a lot to Freemasonry being the foot soldiers of the people who are the real controllers, I have to just believe that there's also a positive sect of them. So, like, for a lot of people, they're like, oh, that's Trump. You know, that's their version of what I'm. Mm-hmm. But I believe behind the scenes, that fight that's happening, that there is a group that is like them, but for good. I don't know who they are. You're welcome to come pick me up. I will.
Yeah, seriously.
If y'all are like, y'all have y'all secret caves and secret planes, I want to fly one. You can look at all the stuff my family does and with our life, we give it to the people. So, you know, we're good for it. So whenever you're ready, I'm sick of being shadow banned.
So I'm gonna tell you, Brianna and I are watching. We just binged watched the whole 5 seasons of Yellowstone.
What is that? I don't watch any TV.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Is it TV? But is it funny? What is it?
No, Yellowstone. It was a television show about a family who owns a couple million acres of land. It's been in their family since like the 1800s in Yellowstone National Park.
Oh,
Kevin Costner is like the father, and so it was an entertaining show. So then they did a prequel to it called 1883. It was only 1 season. I'm going to find the last, I don't know if it was at the end of the show, episode 8 we watched last night, but the girl doing the narration said something incredibly thought-provoking. And she was talking about the beauty of the land, the open plains, and how the land hates humans because we tarnish it, we ruin it, we rape the land. And what she said was, and I'm going to misquote it here, but she said, God and the devil both exist among us at all times, constantly around us. She said, God is the land, the earth, the water, the animals. She says, and the devil is everything we do to the land, the water, the animals. She said, there's this constant struggle between good and evil. She says, and man turned away from God and has then perverted and raped the land because that's what Satan wants. That was a summation of what she said in this little narration. I paused it. I'm like, am I high? Because we took edibles. I said, am I high? Or was that just profoundly deep that I just listened,
No, that is, dude. Because that's kind of, if you think of it, the corporate structure of how they control all of our labor and all of our time.
Yes.
They essentially get us to do all this destruction to our land, which hurts us. It hurts the animals. And like people could say chemtrails as a great example of that. They spray it. Your organic farm is not like invincible. And you're going to get it. Like you're going to get all that stuff. And then it attacks us. It attacks the land, it attacks the soil. And in the end, it is us who did it because we're up there spraying it.
I'm going to see if I can find that little clip on YouTube of what she said and send it over to you. It's
pretty cool.
I literally paused the show. I'm like, am I that high? Or was that really profound what she just said?
They put a lot of truth in the movies, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could, dude, once you're awake, you could see it. Yeah. You could absolutely take a step back. Be like, okay, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
They're fucking us over there. This is foreshadowing. Okay, so this will happen in a year or two.
Yeah, dude. No, for real. I don't really get to watch that much stuff. Actually, like since I've been here in San Antonio, I've watched nothing at all. But even in Mexico with the family, the only thing that ever gets watched is like a video that a movie that my son likes. I know he's handicapped, he can't talk, but he still likes movies because he grew up on them before we ever knew anything, and he likes those movies. So now watching, like hearing them, I can hear them, and I'm like, oh, you can see they put so much in there.
All subliminal messaging.
He's very limited. Vinny's extremely limited on his time. We don't give him like, where kids, if you give it to them unlimited, they literally get unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens. Makes him miserable. So we
have realize reality is not what's on the tablet.
Yeah, he's very limited on his time. And Ashley's that's what she's working on, a class on how to help parents with kids that are vaccine damaged and addicted to the devices, and even for cancer detoxing. She's working on real profound stuff, like way beyond what we're doing. She has a 30-page document she fills out every day based on our son, his tablet time, his anger, and how he's doing. And she does hemisync sounds to sync the left and the right brain. And then she reprograms his subconscious mind when he goes to about an hour of listening to the hemisync. And then the voice kicks in real quiet, and it skips your analytical mind and reprograms you. And I don't know if I ever told you, my childhood friend I grew up with is a first sergeant, and he does psychological operations. So I told him, back in the day when I was doing research and I send him anything about that Q, since we talked about it earlier, he would send me back the manuals on psychological operations and he would tell me, go read them. And so I had the Army, I mean, you can look them up. They're not like he gave me anything.
No, anybody can find them.
Anybody can find those PDFs. But I told him because I realized, like, hey, you would understand the importance of this for PTSD and people if you know someone who's severely damaged. I was like, Ashley could probably make it because it's designed specifically for you, and it talks to you, and it says like what you need to hear, and it reprograms who you really want to be. So that way, when you go to sleep and your brainwaves change to a different pattern, your right and left brain sync together with that comes from the Monroe Institute, the way she created it.
Yeah.
And it syncs, it's just sounds that play in different sides. So you hear it and then it syncs your brain up. And once you do that, it starts programming you and telling you who you really want to be. You're not angry. You're not this. You're not that. And it's doing it at a time when your brainwave state doesn't analyze it, because your whole front of your brain analyzes everything you think all day. But once you go to a certain brainwave state and it changes, because there's like 5 brainwave states. We learned all this from Dr. Joe and different, doctors like him. that it stops your critical thinking about it and it goes straight to program. That's why it's so bad to sleep with shit that's from the mainstream. If you're sleeping on TV and movies, dude, they're screwing you. So don't do that. And I know that it works.
I go to sleep. I put on YouTube. I put on 432 hertz.
Yeah, that's good.
Beats, like the God frequency they call.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of like
what I go to sleep to.
That's good. As long as they're good, hopefully they're good people that put it out, because they could be. But if you're waking up happy, and that's what happened with our son. Ashley got to past his 30 days, and he used to be quite miserable throughout the day. And she would log it. There's 30 pages, so she logs everything he's doing all day. And now once he passed 30 days, because after 30 days, it becomes a habit. Now that he's at the habit stage of repeating the same cycles every day, and listening to the same hemisync sounds with the same words, telling him, Vinny, that's his name, Vinny. Vinny, you're happy. Vinny, you don't need your tablet. But it speaks very nice. It's like and Ashley made the whole thing. And you helped her with some of the work.
I remember.
She was asking you all the questions on how to make it. And you were helping her with how to put the sounds in. And so you helped it. And now Vinny, he's not angry, dude. He is completely, she's like, dude, he's gone weeks without being angry and upset, and he used to be angry and upset all day. So the stuff that we're coming out with, because we created the Inner Flame Ministries, it's to be a lot bigger than what we're helping with now. And wait till you see what we're doing. There's just 3 of us, and we work as much as we could to be able to do it. So I'm in Texas, split from my family, to make all this happen for everybody else, because we don't benefit. We don't own none of this stuff. In the end, the trust owns everything, and it's always going to be passed down. And we want to create a donation-based center that brings truth over all these stupid lies that they're telling us since birth.
Oh yeah,
that's all we're trying to do, man. And we're trying to do it in a positive way, so that everybody benefits and we die and leave this world in a better place. That's our goal. It's really crazy.
Everybody's goal.
Well, a lot of people are very selfish, and they just I really want this for myself. I really want this car. I want to go on this vacation. And we gave all that up. We're just whatever comes, whatever happens, we're going to go with the flow like liquid. And we have one goal: to bring the truth to the collective. And that's literally what we're doing. That's why I was so offended when that guy made all those videos about me. I was like, bro, you don't know who you're dealing with? I'm like the real deal. And I come from a really real deal past. I was like,
I found out. It's okay. You found out.
The videos that were made about that incident were really hilarious. They were so funny, but they got banned. They got banned right away, but they were funny. We made some funniest videos, me and Gwen did. Whatever. Oh, well, it is what it is.
Right. Let's, I didn't realize it was fucking 7:45 already. Shit. We've been going for almost 2.5 hours.
What? I blame you. I blame you, Steve.
I would blame me too. But I feel like 2.5 hours is a really good second date. You know what I mean? That's a good amount of time to get to know each other. Yeah.
That's funny. I think everybody will like it.
No, I'm sure they will. All right,
we'll see.
Everyone watching, listening, new subscribers, everybody, thank you all for the likes, the subscribes, the comments. I want to thank the individual who watched one of our old shows where it was you, me, Ashley, and Gwen. And somebody commented on you. I forget what they said. And then they said something about how pretty the girls were. And then he put ... I had the red SNR shirt on. He goes, the dude in the red shirt's a creep. So I typed a response. And I'm like, this ain't even worth it. I just fucking left it alone. But it was on YouTube. You can probably go find it.
That's funny.
He complimented you. Talked about the girls, how pretty they were, and ... the dude in the red shirt's a creep.
That's fucking hilarious.
I'm like, you motherfucker. I mean, he's not wrong. But how dare you call me out?
It's hard to be offended and to say something positive back in an offensive.
No, look, I if you don't know me, you know what I mean? You know me by now, but the average person, if you don't know me, I have a very specific sense of humor, personality. Yeah. I'm one of those, you either like me or you don't. It's So it is what it is. I'm not changing who I am. Whatever. Yeah,
I see it. And I would much prefer someone who's like you than just someone who isn't like you, to be honest, because you bring a lot of joy. If someone were to hang out with you, you would bring a lot of joy to the group. In all reality, I'm sure you talked about the story where your friend just passed away of cancer. And because of your ass, he got to laugh the fucking, even though he couldn't speak up, you could tell he was laughing from
the last thing he did before he died was
dude.
laugh.
And that's,
because
I
my
think,
priest called me a faggot.
yeah, dude. That is I think if you look at scenes in a moments like that in our lives, when we have our life review, Steve, those are the memories people are going to remember about you. And whenever a guy goes and says a stupid ass comment like that, like, you know what, Steve?
I
fuck
don't care.
that guy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't look. I could care less. If you don't know me, yeah. And then Gwen and I have that tremendous back and forth where we kind of bust each other's balls.
Gwen.
So I get it. I must look like a complete stone cold old man on the park pretending to feed pigeons, looking up girls' skirt degenerate.
Oh my God.
I'm really not that guy.
That's terrible. That's a terrible analogy, but I guess we'll accept it.
All right, Kenny, listen, you have a great weekend.
You too.
Tell the family I said hello. Everybody, thank you for watching, listening. We love you all. Have a blessed weekend. Have a beautiful Easter if you celebrate. For the rest of you, just have a nice Sunday.
Ishtar. That's who it is for.
Who is it?
So we have a book in our Inner Flame Ministries that exposes all the fake holidays. That's a celebration for Ishtar.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Ishtar. Yeah, y'all can go download the free book and see all the fake holidays in America, every single one. It's in our Inner Flame Ministries free downloads. Ishtar, yeah. She's one. Her other names are Samarima. She has multiple names, same person.
Creep. All right, Kenny, be good. Everyone, thank you for watching, listening. Don't forget to check out statenationalsrock.com, Into Flame Ministries, and we will see you next time on episode 13. Adios.
Adios.